What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Good morning. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy. It is Thursday, October 30th, 2025. And we're back at the Polderbaan. We have wind blowing from the west. Moderate wind today, 11 knots or so, but the wind is blowing almost exactly from the west. In other words, we have perpendicular wind, and that makes for slight crabbing, which is always nice to see. We have an interesting show today in store. Have a look with me on Flight Radar. We can see that the first 747 is almost in Dutch airspace already. Cargolux arriving from Nairobi. And another Cathay Pacific 747 popped up on Flight Radar, coming in from Paris, a bonus queen that wasn't airborne yet this morning. Thumbnail of the show, Retrolux is coming in, arriving from Miami around 12:30, so should be landing here. Same for the Atlas Air with the white and yellow livery. Jesus is flying to Zakynthos from London Gatwick. I thought that Retro Transavia was going to Barcelona or something to in that region, so that should also return again in the duration of the show. Emirates is arriving. It's wintertime here since last week, so that means the Emirates A380 usually will land again at the Polderbaan, which is why I returned here to see and film it. A warm welcome to the show, everybody. Hope everybody is doing well. Marja, goedenavond. Wolfgang, good morning. And welcome to the show, everybody else. Hope you're doing well. Let me get in position so that we can film the first arrival. First arrival being Delta Airlines Flight 90, arriving from Orlando, Florida. It's a bit dark here. I already upped the exposure compensation from plus a quarter stop to plus half a stop. If it is getting too bright, let me know. If it is still too dim, let me know as well. Good morning to everybody who joined in the meantime. As you can see, grass over here is growing. It's getting greener here by the week. The Crayfish fisherman also arrived here. He drove his trailer with the boat right in front of me to the Polderbaan, so we arrived simultaneously. There were a few coots further upstream, but they seem to have swum away. I'm sure they'll pop up sooner or later. The echo you guys were hearing during the last stream, I have resolved. It turns out that I didn't properly sync both audio channels. There was one frame of delay, in other words a fraction of a second, for the audio, the ambient audio, which has to travel through more stations, and that enters the ATEM mini switcher a little delayed versus the voiceover, and it wasn't perfectly synced. There was one frame time difference between them, so whenever I spoke in the direction of the ambient microphone, you could hear that echo. You heard that the echo went away when I did the airplane dance and when I moved further away from the microphone, and I had the volume set a bit higher than normally would have been the case, so the ambient picked up more of my voice last week than normally would have been the case. Even if that were to happen now, you shouldn't hear any time difference and any echo anymore. Very good morning to all who have joined. Mark H, good morning. Dexis, good morning. Mali, good morning. Martin Air, Richard, Marcus, Friedrich, Flyboy, Stefan, good morning. Welcome to the show, everybody. Next airplane arriving will be Air Canada Flight 808, arriving from Toronto, Canada. A330-300. 6 hours 50 minutes on the way. Bank Robber Livery. 16-year-old airplane. Its first flight was in March 2009. Meanwhile, Rotors, thank you so much for your super chat. Evening from Invercargill in New Zealand. I'll sub if you get helicopters. We do get helicopters, but overhead mostly. The police do have helicopters stationed at Schiphol Oost, which is where I was last week Friday. Over here, the only helicopters that you see will fly overhead, usually Lifeline or medical ambulances, sometimes police choppers. We did see an Apache from the military once, but that was the exception to the rule. I think we've also seen Chinooks 1 or 2 times, but those are exceptional. Thank you so much, Rotors, for your donation. And hopefully you'll still sub regardless of the relative lack of helicopters. Super Eminent, good morning. Bert, goedemorgen. Ramon, goedemorgen. Postma, goedemorgen. Mighty Traveler, good morning. Luan, goedemorgen. Henk, goedemorgen. If you're a member, don't forget to head over to the community section for members. There is a new poll, yes, again. This time with the 4 highest ranked suggestions in the previous poll. The one that I highly suspect has been rigged. The top 4 entries are in a poll on YouTube itself, which basically allows only member access, so that is at least a bit more rigging proof. Head over there, the poll is open until Monday. Playtime custom emoji replacement. Vodka bottle was already ahead earlier in the week before it suddenly spiked so much higher than the other entries, so that is included. But also Bumpy Landing, Karen Cabin, and which was the other one? I think Bank Robber, maybe? Ronald, goedemorgen. Kilroy, goedemorgen. Peter, goedemorgen. CV, goedemorgen. Good morning. Before Patat, goedemorgen. Good morning. We're waiting for the next arrival. According to Flight Radar, it should be flying base further north, a bit northeast. I think I was able to catch a glimpse of it. Yeah, there it is. There you go. That would be KLM flight 741 arriving from Cartagena in Colombia. Few drizzly droplets are falling, and I noticed on the way that I left my umbrella at home. Usually I have it in my car, but I forgot to put it back. I left it in the hallway of my home. But it shouldn't get very wet here today, luckily. I always have handkerchiefs with me. In fact, today should be a relatively good day. Tomorrow, I'm not sure about. The weekend already promises to be shit again, so I'm not sure to what extent I'll be able to go out this weekend. Weather has been pretty miserable last weekend as well. Shower after shower after shower after shower. Meanwhile, Mark H just now gifting 5 memberships. Mate, thank you so much for your generosity. You didn't have to do that, but you did it anyway. Thank you so much for that. Incredibly generous. Welcome to the Observer Skylines new members. If you are one of the recipients of Mark H's gifted memberships, don't forget to say thank you to him. And please enjoy the custom emojis. Don't forget to cast your vote in the poll. Mark, thank you so much. Steven also back in the chat. Good morning. Philip, goedemorgen. Marcel, goedemorgen. Caroline, good morning. And welcome back, one and all. First time back at the Polderbaan after its yearly maintenance. Don't think a lot has changed from what I can see here on ground level. The only thing that struck me when I arrived here was that the grass had grown a bit, but that was to be expected. It is still relatively warm. KLM Flight 741, arriving from Cartagena in Colombia. It's not very windy, but since the wind is blowing perpendicularly to the runway heading, you can see that the airplanes are crabbing, which is nice. Next airplane after this is going to be a 777-300 arriving from Cape Town. No, not Cape Town, Johannesburg in South Africa. 777 arriving as number 2. A330 from KLM will be number 3, arriving from Vancouver. What do you guys think of the brightness? Is it okay? I've increased it from +1/4 stop to +1/2 stop because it was looking pretty dim on my screen. If we need more, let me know. This would be +3/4. This is back to 1/2, and this is what I had it on initially, +1/4. That seems to be a default. That seems to be a default setting. It seems that whenever it is a little cloudy, my camera has the tendency to make things pretty dark, and you need to bump up the exposure compensation, or if you're in full manual, the gain. Ja, Muis, goedemorgen. Veldi, guten Morgen und herzlich willkommen. Gertin, goedemorgen. Welkom terug. Me, myself, good morning. Patrick, goedemorgen kerel. Caroline says, picture looks good on mine. Happy to hear that. Thanks for the feedback. If it does start to look a bit dim, or if it's the other way around, if it starts to get too bright, let me know. I can tinker with the brightness settings. Hey, Mr. Blue Sky, also back. Good to see ya. Seven 787-10 arriving from Cartagena in Colombia, which is right next to well, quite clear to see that there is moisture on the runway, on the tarmac. Oh yeah, of course. Almost forgot. It rained. It started to rain last night. A large rain area passed over the Netherlands overnight. I think it did stop already shortly after midnight, but with the temperatures and whatnot. So currently looking to the east, this is what it looks like. This is looking to the south. This is where the wind is blowing from the west. Should stay dry. Those few droplets that I felt a few minutes ago have already stopped, so I guess it was just high humidity. Wide body in the back. From the right, that's a Chinese 777 freighter arriving from Shanghai. Here in the foreground, KLM Flight 592, arriving from Johannesburg, 777-300 A330-200 from KLM. Behind it, arriving from Vancouver in Canada. This shit is Canada, C-A-N-A-D-A. Thanks for that, up Wolfgang. KLM 747, lineup 24, thank you. Let's see if we can spot that 747 then. Is it rolling already? Rolling, rolling, rolling. Oh yeah. Got a visual. KLM Cargo just now having taken off from runway 24. Where's it going to? Miami? back to Africa. Gorgeous machine. Jan, goedemorgen. Lorenzo, goedemorgen. Rob, goedemorgen. Welcome to the show, everybody. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy, and we're back at Polderbaan because there is Crosswind, and we have several 747s underway, including the 747 featured in the thumbnail, Retrolux. Hopefully, by the time that will land here, the sun has begun to shine a bit more than it does now. Any sunshine at all would be already good. KLM flight 682, returning from Vancouver. What the flock? Miami. Well, there you go. If we wouldn't have the clouds, we probably would have been able to follow it a bit further during its climb out. For now, we'll just have to make do with what we can see over here, and that's plenty. A lot of wide bodies are already arriving. More are underway. This is China Southern Cargo, flight 495, returning from Shanghai in China. 11 hours and 39 minutes on the way. 777 freighter, Bravo 2026, 2026 is its registration. It's 10 years old. Its first flight was in May 2015. Clear blue sky in Belgium, Philip says. Well, don't hog all the sunshine. Sharing is caring, mate. Send some over to the Netherlands, if you will. Yeah, I do see that there are open bits in the sky further north. You can already see it. The airplanes flying base are illuminated by the sunshine, so it is a temporary or a local phenomenon, very clearly. I am hoping for weather improvement later in the day. I think that should happen. Just need to be patient. Kasper, goedemorgen. Honda, goedemorgen, good morning. Enko, good morning. Alrighty. 2 airplanes on the glide slope, third one turning in. The third one turning in is a Chinese triple. Or is it? Yeah, that's a Chinese triple, alright. For a moment I thought it looked like Norwegian, but... Hadimat, goedemorgen. Welcome to the show, everybody else. The first 747 is not too far away. I can already see the flight radar. It's flying over Markermeer, which is to the northeast of Schiphol Airport. If you look on flight radar, you can see it arriving. Should be here in a few minutes from now. It's a nice mix of wide bodies and narrow bodies. A few narrow bodies now. Third airplane will be a wide body. After that, 2 narrow bodies and probably then the 747, unless stuff from the west comes in between. Think that is all in the background. Flight 337. 2 airplanes behind it. We have the 747, the first of the show. How many were there underway before the A380? 4? Did I count that correctly? I think 1 from Nairobi, 1 from Paris, and 2 from Miami. morning, John. Good morning, Eki. Good morning, Marianne. Tina, goedemorgen. Three-airplane glide slope shot. Glide slope visibility is pretty good. Clouds are higher than the airplanes are when approaching the glide slope, so that makes us being able to see them quite well. Next up, EastJet flight 23857 arriving from Milan, an A320 777 arriving from Chongqing behind it. El Al now number 3. Lufty should be next after that. Fourth to arrive, arriving from Frankfurt. Is that visible already? Flying base. Might be that the clouds are a little in the way. Ah, there's the Lufty in the background. Right, well, behind that should be the 747. Where is that 747? I think I might be able to see it. Yep, sure do. There it is. First 747, quite clearly visible and recognizable as being Cargolux. Cargolux arriving from Nairobi in Kenya, which of course is in Africa. Before that, we have a Chinese triple. China Southern Cargo flight 2577 arriving from Chongqing, 10 hours and 32 minutes on the way. 777 freighter, 2 years old, Bravo 223 Golf. First flight March 2023. Friend Sebastian, guten Morgen. Joey Slijm, goedemorgen. German Monster, good morning. Wolfgang asks, did Aer Lingus fly that route more often? Aer Lingus flying from where to where? Oh, the flight from Frankfurt. Well, I do think that Aer Lingus has also been landing out airplanes to Lufty before. I'm pretty sure that I've seen Aer Lingus with an Embraer 190 arriving from Munich, or was that Aer Lingus itself? We've definitely seen the Aer Lingus Embraers here before. Now I'm wondering. Now I'm having second thoughts. Maybe it was the. Maybe it was Aer Lingus itself that flew in from Munich before. Good morning, LTC 878. Perfect timing. Alan, good morning, mate. Have a look at this. 3-airplane glide slope shot. All landing here, making noise. Senna, goedemorgen. Snafuperman, good morning. Umwel, goedemorgen. Silkenader, good morning. Artem, goedemorgen. Airplane ballet. Airplane ballet with KLM on the left. That would be KLM flight 644 arriving from New York JFK, and we have Cargolux, the first 747 of the show, in the middle. Here in the foreground, Lufty, but flown by Air Dolomiti, arriving from Frankfurt. Or no, this is Air Dolomiti. I am mistaken. Here I was saying it is Lufty, but it is Air Dolomiti itself. Not sure that we've seen it flying in from Frankfurt. We have definitely seen it flying in from Munich. Air Dolomiti. If you're ever at Innsbruck, you will also see them every now and then. Queenie is crabbing. Queenie is crabbing. 7, 8, 7, 10 behind it. At a respectable distance. Good morning, one and all. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy. We're here at the Polderbaan, and the first of, I think, 4 queens in total expected. One of them is the one that you see in the thumbnail, Retro Cargolux. Now, if you are enjoying what you've been seeing thus far, don't forget to leave a like if you want to help us reach a wider audience, and make sure to subscribe if you want to stay informed of upcoming live streams. Cargolux, flight 492, arriving from Nairobi in Kenya, 8 hours and 29 minutes on the way. 18-year-old machine. Will it get loud? We'll soon find out. Let's look and listen. Absolutely lovely. So we have a bit of wind from the west. The wind is blowing perpendicularly to the runway heading of the Polderbaan. That means that the airplanes are crabbing, including this one. 1 down, 3 to go. I think the next one will arrive from Paris. Cathay Pacific Cargo. Let's quickly turn around. KLM flight 644. Arriving from New York, JFK. Here it is, 78710. Flight time has been 6 hours and 21 minutes. And after this, another Delta A330-300 arriving from Detroit, Michigan, flight 136. Moderate arousal by the windsock. In the meantime, a very good morning to everybody who has joined. If you joined us only just now, then you may have missed the landing of this 747, first of, I think, 4. While we're waiting for the Delta A330 to land here, let's have a quick look at Flight Radar, see what is cooking. So you can see that the next 747 is already crossing into Belgium and should be here in half an hour or so from now. Cathay Pacific arriving from Paris. Retro Transavia has come alive. It's at Barcelona, should be coming back here within the scope of the show. Retro Lux is underway from Miami, expected 12:24. Yellow and white. Atlas Air is expected half an hour later, and Emirates is expected around 12:30. Summertime has passed, and that means that the arrivals of Emirates are an hour earlier again. And that makes it a more frequently seen visitor of the Polderbaan whenever that is in use for arrivals, since arriving before 1 o'clock will mean that only Polderbaan will be open on days like today. This is Delta Airlines Flight 136 arriving from Detroit, Michigan. A330-300, 7 hours and 11 minutes on the way. 22-year-old machine, first flight January 2003. Hey there, John. Good morning. Frobisher, good morning. Canal Hopper, good morning. Guten Morgen. Jean-Yves, salut. Welcome to the show, everybody. Chris, good morning. King Ding, good morning. Welcome to the show, everybody. So, 3 airplanes on the glide slope. The second one is a 777 arriving from Cape Town in South Africa. Here in the foreground we have EastJet flight 28673, that's arriving from London Gatwick. That's an A319, and the airplane that you see as number 3 below the other two, I think, is American Airlines flight 204 arriving from Philadelphia, and behind that should be a Delta Airlines A330neo flight 74 arriving from Atlanta, Georgia, which we can also already see. So that's a 4 airplane glide slope shot. Now, I was also hearing bird sounds just now. I think that may have been Maurice Moorhan, who is over there having some breakfast, some fibrous breakfast. I'm not sure if he has already used the ramp. No, that's not the ramp. That's just the exhaust of the sewage, the drain. Oh, focus, focus. Other way around, focus to infinity. There we go. EastJet having arrived from Gatwick. Gatsby, not the Great Gatsby, but the Great Gatsby from EastJet. But shot in the making. SRD is celebrating a month of membership. G'day, boy, good to see you. Have some vodka and relax, love it. We'll definitely do that, mate. Once I get home, I'll hit the bottle. Because what else is there to do? Thank you so much for the support, mate. Hope everything in the lounge is still to your liking. If not, let me know. Let me see what I can do to ameliorate the situation. Let's quickly turn around. That 777 isn't waiting. Here it is already. KLM flight 598 arriving from Cape Town. Hey Lance, good morning, mate. Good to see you again. Hope all is well. Chris asks if I am at AMS next week Friday. Well, that's a good question. One that I cannot answer yet. That is all weather dependent. I'm not even sure if I'll be here this Saturday and this Sunday. I think tomorrow morning is looking to stay dry, but even that is never 100% sure yet. It's always weather dependent, guys. Whenever people ask me, will you be there then and then? The answer always is, I don't know for sure yet. That'll depend on the weather. Fridays are days that I have reserved for streaming, so if the weather is good enough, I will be out. Three airplanes on the glide slope. The next two airplanes are wide bodies. The third airplane is an E2, a wannabe 777. Here we have American Airlines Flight 204, arrival from Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. 6.5 hours on the way. The November 870 Alpha X-Ray, 5 years old. First flight March 2020. Cabin looking spacious, and we have some membership anniversaries to celebrate. I'm also noticing that things are getting a bit brighter here, so I'm thinking about going back to plus a quarter stop of exposure compensation, since otherwise things might start to look a bit too bright. Maria, first of all, is celebrating 25 months of membership. Silver Jubilee, many more months to come, she writes. Maria, thank you so much for all your support, not just as a member, but also as a very valued moderator, of course. Hope that both are still to your liking. If either of the two no longer is or threatens to become no longer to your liking, I want to know. Let me see what I can do to make things better. Maria, thank you so much for your continued support. Upwards and onwards, I hope you'll stick around for many more months to come, and that also goes for John McKenzie, who is celebrating 21 months of membership, watching while in bed with the flu, mate. Take it easy, enjoy the show, hopefully that'll get you up on your feet again soon. All the best, John, and thank you so much for your support as well. Hope everything in the lounge and in your bed are currently to your liking. Cannot do much about the latter, but if the lounge is no longer to your liking, that might be something I can change, so let me know then. Delta Airlines having arrived from Atlanta, Georgia, flight 74. And Turkish with an A330 is now next as number 2 after the E2 Embraer. Crayfish fisherman, slowly but surely getting closer by. Meanwhile, John Logan is celebrating his first month of membership. Why didn't I join a long time ago? Good question. The answer to that, life, the universe and everything, is 42. I don't see exactly how that answers your question, but I'm pretty sure that the answer is 42. John, thank you so much for your support as well, and I hope you're going to stay around for many more months to come. I hope everything in the lounge is to your liking. Don't forget to cast your vote in the custom emoji poll if you are a member and you haven't cast your vote yet. The previous poll very likely has been rigged a little to favor vodka bottle, which all of a sudden had a big lead over the other entries. It was in the lead before, but not by such a wide margin, so definitely some tinkering having happened there. The first 4 entries in that poll, including vodka bottle, are now in a poll in the community section for members, where you can only access if you are a member of the channel. Means that should at least reduce the likelihood of more tinkering. The poll runs until Monday evening local time, so if you haven't cast your vote yet, head over there after the show, make your voice be heard. 4 options to choose from: vodka bottle, one of them. The others: cabin cabin, bumpy landing, and was it bank rubber or something? Not exactly sure. Roy also back in the chat. Good to see you, Roy. Hope all is well. Roy is celebrating 13 months of membership. Just 6 more to 3 years, he writes. Mate, thank you so much for the continued support. To you too, I say, I hope that everything in the lounge is still to your liking. And if that is no longer the case, let me know. Let me see what I can do to make things better. Roy, thank you so much for your support. Always a pleasure to have you in the chat. Hope you're going to stick around for many more months to come. If not as a member, then at least as a regular viewer. The next airplane to land here is Turkish in the retro livery. So 3 retros coming to Amsterdam in the next hours. This is the first. We have retro Cargolux and retro Transavia. This is a beaut, isn't it? Have a look. Still remember seeing this from P3 back when we were still able to do streams there. At the apron at the time. And now in action, actually. Türk Hava Yolari, which I think is Turkish for if you like what you're seeing, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And a butt shot. A butt shot to boot. Absolutely wonderful. And the 4th option is bank rubber. Thank you, Richard, for looking that up. Ali Marijke, goedemorgen. And good morning, everybody else who may have joined in the meantime. Turkish Retro, the first of 3. Retro Cargolux also underway. And so too is the Retro Transavia. Time for a few narrow bodies now. Next one, KLM Flight 1402 arriving from Paris. No carrying cabin on board this airplane. Wind picking up a little bit by the feel of it. Hey there, Paul. Good morning. Good. Well, they have been sighted. Before I went live, they were further to the north. I am seeing one over there right now. I'm pretty sure there are more over there further to the north. They do seem to be playing hide and seek thus far today. Good morning, car spotter. Good morning, Edwin. Henk, goedemorgen. Good morning. BA flight 432 arriving from London Heathrow is next, an A319. Next after that are going to be an Embraer 175 arriving from Prague and Air Arabia Morocco arriving from Tangier. Let's have a look and see where Cathay Pacific Cargo is. That's the next 747 arriving from Paris. Last time we checked, it was about to fly into Belgian airspace, so pretty sure it must have arrived in the Netherlands by now. Let's have a quick look on Flight Radar, where we can see what is coming this way, and we can already see indeed that the next 747 is in Dutch airspace already, in the vicinity of The Hague, Rotterdam. Coming this way, ETA 10:37, so that is 12 minutes out still. What else is underway? You might be wondering. Well, Retro Transavia is underway, going back to the Netherlands from Barcelona. Underway, expected around 12:15. 10 minutes after that, Cargolux Retro Lux. Half an hour after that, Atlas Air in the yellow and white. And also around the time of the Cargolux Retrolux arrival will be this, the Emirates A380. And I am wondering, with those estimated times of arrival, are we in for a mother of all glide slope shots? In other words, 747 following the A380 or vice versa. We've seen that before already. And the way things are looking right now, today might give us another opportunity to see it. Fingers crossed, ladies and gentlemen. Fingers crossed. And speaking of fingers, don't forget to leave a thumbs up if you are enjoying what you're seeing. And hit subscribe and the bell icon if you want to stay informed of upcoming live streams going forward. Next up is Air Arabia Morocco, arriving from Tangier in Morocco, which is in the north of Africa. It's an A320. Flight time has been 2 hours and 57 minutes thus far. The Charlie November Mike Juliet. The boat of the Crayfish fisherman is passing by. Goedemorgen. The airplane that we are about to see is 9 years old. First flight was in December 2015. Hey Jan, goedemorgen. Good to see you, mate. One of the nets over here, so the lads are checking right now. Fisherman checking the net here. Oh, birds in the background. Have a look. That's quite a few gathering over there. I'm not sure exactly where they are compared to the runways and whatnot. At least the center runway is of course closed for maintenance until, what was it again, next week or something? I'd have to look that up. And Sardi also just now gifting 5 memberships. Sardi, thank you so much for your generosity. You didn't have to do that. But thank you so much for doing it anyway. A warm welcome to the Aurora Skyline's new members. Don't forget to say thank you to Sardi if you are one of the recipients of his gifted memberships. Have fun with the custom emojis and don't forget to cast your vote in the poll if you haven't cast your vote yet. That goes for all members, new and old. Sardi, thank you so much for your generosity and welcome to the Aurora Skyline's new members. This is KLM Malta, having arrived from Malta, flight 394. Paul wonders if Gary Grebe is in the house. Haven't seen Gary Grebe yet. Pretty sure he must be around. Thus far, only one coot and one moorhen I have seen since I've gone live today here. I have seen a few coots before going live. They were further to the north. They got chased away when the firefighters drove by. They already drove by when I was setting up, and they obviously when I waved to them, they sounded their horn, and I think that must have scared the little birdies. Now, obviously we have a CRJ coming in when Michael is not in the chat. CRJ SAS arrived from Stockholm, flight 1553. Bobbers, good morning, welcome back. Dalia, goedemorgen, good morning. SAS, flight 1553, arriving from Stockholm, 1 hour and 50 minutes and away. Irish registered EI FPR Foxtrot Papa Romeo. A 8-year-old airplane, first flight August 2017. Michael DCA and Jonas, good morning lads. Welcome back. Hope you're doing well. Pretty soon, another Delta. There it is already, crabbing in. Next up, a 737 for KLM arriving from Zurich. KLM flight 1918. Crabbity crab. Delta Airlines flight 236 up next. A330-300 arriving from Tampa in Florida. 8 hours, 17 minutes flight time. And it's 21 years old. First flight February 2004. The November 806 November Whiskey. I'm zooming out a little bit on flight radar to see where that 7478 is. But that's over the coast, over the Gulf of Yorkshire still. I'm looking to my left towards the sea to see if I can spot it, but I think it's too far away. Probably also still a bit too high, isn't it? Let's see, how high is it flying? 4,000 feet. I think that's above the cloud base, above the ceiling. Means we will have to wait until it has gotten a bit closer and also a bit lower. Crabbity crab. And airplanes in the background as well. I think that was Croatia that we saw in the background in the left now. Top left. Croatia Airlines flight 450. Bombardier C Series 300. Looking to be the third arrival here. Immediately following this Delta will be KLM flight 980 arriving from London City. That's an Embraer 190. Okay, hit the brakes. Come on. You know you want to. Ooh. We want more. We want more. Audio. Hey Han, goedemorgen kerel. Jay, good morning my friend. Welcome back one and all. Hope you're doing well. You're watching AMS Live, my name is Boy. If you joined us only just now, you may have missed the landing of the first 747 of the show. That was Cargolux arriving from Nairobi in Kenya. The second 747 of the show is not too far out and should be landing here on the Polderbaan within minutes. Now flying northwest of the Polderbaan. Still downwind, but turning base pretty soon. 4 in total are on the way before the arrival of the... No? 3 are on the way before the A380, 1 shortly after that, half an hour after that. You're all expected to land over here since we've gone to wintertime and all of the arrivals will take place at a time where only one runway for arrivals will be open, before 1 o'clock local time. Sip of coffee. Well, it is still lukewarm. Retro Lux is one of the 747s coming. Should be arriving around the same time as the A380. Last time we checked, the ETAs were both 12:35. So there might actually be a chance of us being able to see them back to back in one shot. The mother of all glide slope shots, which has happened before once. Pretty recently actually. Come to think of it, I think a couple of months ago. Retro Transavia is also on their way back from Barcelona. That too should be arriving here at a time where when only one runway for arrivals is going to be open. Alright, KLM flight 980 arriving from London City up next. That's an Embraer 190. Croatia Airlines, Bombardier C Series 300 after that. A220. Arriving from Zagreb. Meanwhile, a warm welcome to everybody who has joined. Sit back and relax. It's not very windy today, but the wind is blowing perpendicularly to the runway heading. In other words, every bit of wind is crosswind, each knot. Almost each knot. Theoretically, there is a bit of headwind. thought hard about going back to the northern threshold of 18 left, since 27 is now also in use as secondary runway for inbound traffic. In other words, whenever the departures from 18 left to the south stop, 27 reopens and you'll see inbound traffic over there. In other words, constant action, both arrivals and departures. Maybe tomorrow, if the runway use is going to be the same, I'll go over there. But today we had several queens coming in, including Retrolux, and a lot of wind perpendicular to the heading of the Polderbaan. So I figured, let's go over to the Polderbaan and have a look at this. Second 747 of the show. This is Croatia Airlines Flight 450, arriving from Zagreb. Bombardier C Series 300. Spacious cabin cabin in the back. Cabin cabin being one of the 4 entries that you can vote for in the poll. The definitive poll for the replacement custom emoji of Playtime. The other 3 entries being vodka bottle, bank robber, if I'm not mistaken, and Karen cabin. No, bouncy landing. Karen cabin I already mentioned. Either way, head over to the community section for members. You'll find the poll over there. Poll is open until Monday evening local time. I'll announce the winner then and get on making whatever you guys choose to be the winner. Me personally, I think vodka bottle will not be as fun to make. I think I have more fun ideas for Karen cabin and for bouncy landing. But it's your poll. You guys as members get to decide, provided that there's no tinkering taking place in the polls. But that should not be very likely when the poll is held at YouTube itself, the community section for members. The bar for entry is a bit higher. Bonus queen, one that wasn't airborne yet this morning when I had a look and decided that I should go to the Polderbaan, but one that came here during the stream, took off from Paris, where it left from 47 minutes ago, Cathay Pacific Cargo Flight 2038. In the meantime, you're hearing the landing of the airplane preceding it. That is an SAS. Which wasn't using its reversers. Etienne, goedemorgen. Perfect timing indeed, just in time for queen number 2. Rodney, good morning. Welcome back, mate. Hope you're doing well. Hope everybody is doing well. Happy Thursday. It is a cloudy day here. I thought it was going to be a bit more sunny than thus far it has been, but the sun is out here and there. You can see it over there. There, the sun is shining on those buildings. And also in the background, you can see bits of openness, and also here as well. Okay, what is up with my flight radar? Seems to be holding. Internet connection isn't malfunctioning. My flight radar is seems to be buffering or something. I do see that the chat is still updating on my laptop screen. It also is looking like things are going well. It's just that my flight radar is now on pause for some reason. You guys are still reacting. to what you seem to be reacting to moving footage. Stream is fine. Thanks, Maria. Well, in that case, I think I need to reboot my flight radar because that is giving me those those buffering signs you also give whenever we had buffering. I hope that the buffering things are a thing of the past now. Let's close flight radar and open it up again. See if that works. No. Doesn't seem to be doing anything. So my flight radar for some reason is not giving me the airplanes. It's just giving me an empty map right now, and those that buffering. Oh wait, now it's back. Okay, cool. Need to reorient my phone a little. Guess it was just a hiccup with flight radar then. Happy about that. For a moment I was afraid that there was an issue with my internet connection. Okay, let's turn around the screen. Okay, well, if everything is okay on your end, that's perfectly fine. Keep me posted if anything would change to that in that effect. In that regard. English is failing. The sun is shining around me here and there. I'm thinking that I might also actually get a few rays of sunshine here in a few minutes as well. The scale of chimney smoke currently is looking like so. We still have wind blowing from the west. In other words, it's blowing perpendicular to the runway heading. That means that the airplanes arriving are still crabbing. Next up will be Tarom flight 361 arriving from Bucharest. It is a 737. Flight time has been 2 hours and 43 minutes. Hey Monique, goedemorgen. Welcome to the show, and welcome to the show everybody else. If you only joined us just now, you may have missed the landing of the second 747 of the show. There are 2 more incoming, and the A380 from Emirates is also still expected, all before 1 o'clock local time. 2 747s arriving from Miami. Emirates, of course, arriving from Dubai. Right, well, I'm standing in actual sunshine over here for the first time. For how long remains to be seen, but that is nice. Next up will be Pegasus, Air Oink Oink, flight 1251, arriving from Istanbul in Turkey, an A321neo. Flight time has been 3 hours and 17 minutes, a bit longer than normally would have been the case, but not extraordinarily longer. Brand new airplane, first flight was in July this year, so that should still be under warranty. Now in the middle of the 3 airplanes that have become visible is an E2 Embraer 195 arriving from London Heathrow, KLM flight 1002, and turning in now the leftmost of the 3 airplanes visible is KLM flight 672 arriving from Montreal, A330-300. It's 10:45. In 15 minutes from now, runway 27 should also open up again for arrivals. That means that everything arriving from the east will be headed to that runway instead of the Polderbaan. I can hear birds chirping. It's always difficult to see where those birds are actually chirping from. As you can see, the airplanes are still crabbing. Pegasus flight 1251 up next, an A321neo arriving from Istanbul. Rena will also be giving us a butt shot. And have a look at the lighting, beautiful. K1 just passing by. And thank you Maria, who says that the ETA of the A380 is 12:31. What's the ETA of Retrolux then? They had similar ETAs earlier. Hey, goedemorgen.
Lekker bezig man.
Hey, dankjewel man.
Echt superleuk.
Leuk.
Mijn zoon volgt het heel vaak.
Top. Hoe heet je zoon?
Floris.
Floris. Floris, je vader is hier. Leuk dat je kijkt, Floris. Ah, nou als hij dit terugkijkt dan misschien... Leuk man.
Echt heel tof wat je doet man.
Dankjewel, leuk om te horen.
Ja.
Ik doe mijn best. Ja, zou ik zeker doen man. Dankjewel. Hey, fijne dag. Groetjes aan Floris. Als je een keertje in de buurt bent, dan moet je even langskomen.
Ja, zeker.
Is goed. Oké, hoi hoi. KLM Flight 1002 having arrived from London Heathrow. Spacious cabin in the back. And that was Floris's dad just now. Floris is still in school today, but his dad told me that he always watches. This is KLM Flight 672, arriving from Montreal in Canada. It's an A330-300, 6 hours and 16 minutes on the way. Fuck B is its registration. Papa Hotel, Alpha Kilo Bravo. 13-year-old airplane, first flight February 2012. Retrolux ETA 1224, thank you Maria. So no longer does it look like the 747 and the A380 will land back to back. It was looking like that a while back when both airplanes had ETAs of 1235. Now, this is of course something that changes continuously, might get closer to one another again later in the morning, so let's just see how it works out. Hey Georgios, good morning, welcome back mate. Bing bada boom, fuck B. And a nice current cabin in the back as well. Well, the sunshine didn't last long. It's back behind the clouds again. Not sure when it's going to reappear again. This is where the wind is blowing from. You can definitely see here and there are some openings, some blue. But most of the sky still is clouded. At least it's dry, which I think is already something worthwhile. Last weekend was abysmal, constantly showers. There you go, such is life. Autumn has arrived, wintertime has also arrived here in Europe. You may have noticed it already if you're not living in Europe, but you are a viewer of the show. We started an hour earlier or later. Wintertime has arrived. That's going to be in place until the third or last weekend or something in March, I think. 5 months of wintertime and 7 months of summertime here in Europe. Means it's getting light a bit earlier again, but then again it's also getting dark an hour earlier than a week ago. Here in the Netherlands at 52 degrees latitude, the shortest day, the sun will rise around 9 o'clock, I think, or 10 to 9, I think. It actually will rise later but then the sun will set later again, so the shortest day actually doesn't have the latest sunrise and the earliest sunset. That actually happens earlier and later. The latest sunrise happens around New Year's Eve. And the earliest sunset, I think around December 10th, shortly before 4:30. And the latest sunrise is around 9 o'clock, and that's around New Year's Eve. And then somewhere around the 21st, we always have the shortest day. The sunsets are already lengthening by then, but the sunrise is still getting later. In the meantime, if you look on Flight Radar, you can see that runway 27 has opened up for arrivals, a secondary runway catering to traffic arriving in the Netherlands from the east. It's a short stint of 40 minutes from 11 until 11:40 normally speaking, but since they already began, I'm hoping they might close the runway again a bit earlier as well, so that the total duration of 2 runways for inbound traffic will last only around 40 minutes, but might still last until 11:40 local time. Either way, 27 has opened up. Means that we will see a bit less traffic, but everything arriving from the west will still be directed to this runway, normally speaking. Sardi says 32 degrees C here in TSV. We have the air conditioning on at the moment. It's hot, hot, hot. Well, 32 C is definitely hot. Over here, how warm is it? I'd have to watch the ticker, because since that's since that's updating automatically, I've become lazy and I haven't checked Flight Radar or the METAR website that regularly anymore. Wind is blowing from 260 degrees, 13 knots, and the temperature is 11 degrees C. There you go. So even though it isn't very windy, with only 13 knots of wind, since the wind is blowing almost directly perpendicular to the runway heading, the airplanes are crabbing significantly. That's always nice. Hey, that's good news, hon. Only 7 more weeks to go before the day length will increase again. Counting down the days. Shortly thereafter, I'll also be going on my first ski trip. Looking forward to that, particularly since I'll be going to Austria and we'll have a meetup with Wolfgang if all is well. Very much looking forward to a day of skiing together. Hopefully the weather will be good as well. If there's one thing I hate is when you have cloudy weather and it's constantly snowing. Hey, Jeff is also back in the chat. Good to see you, Jeff. Welcome back. Now, for those of you who were wondering about the echo that you were hearing during the last stream, I've sorted it. Turns out that I didn't properly sync the audio channels. I of course have 2 audio channels, one for ambient and one for voiceover. The one from ambient runs through the HDMI cable, through my camera, and then to the switcher, which means that it arrives in the switcher a bit delayed, and that means that you have to add a bit of delay to the other channel to make them synchronized. And I was off 1 frame, a fraction of a second, and that normally isn't an issue, except when you turn up the gain, the volume of the ambient microphone, which I had during the stream last week. If you look back and you look at the moment that I did the airplane dance while I was speaking and I was away, you didn't hear the echo. When I was back in my filming position again, you did start hearing it again. I fixed it if it was well, so even if I boost up the ambient microphone, you shouldn't be hearing any echoes anymore going forward. Stupid, I thought I had it set to the proper setting, but it was off 1 frame, and that is noticeable if you listen closely. We have a big airplane as number 3. This is Welling, and after that a KLM 737 arriving from Paris. It's Hans' favorite. Fueling, Welling, wheeling, Welling, voiling. The centerpiece of the airplane, the yellow dot, is it still in place? Answer is yes. EC lock. Well, that yellow dot is certainly still locked in place. Two airplanes on the glide slope. Number 2 being KLM Flight 758, arriving from Panama City. And that's a 787-10. Following it will be a Ryanair MAX 8737, arriving from Dublin. Wondering if they'll use their reversers. Normally quiet airplanes, but when using the reversers, those Maxes are also quite capable of getting loud. Hey Innie Mini, goedemorgen. Optimus Toaster also back in the chat. Welcome to the show, everybody else who may have joined in the meantime. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy. We're back at the Polderbaan. Crosswind conditions. It's not very windy, but the wind is blowing perpendicularly, and that makes that the airplanes are crabbing, even though the wind is only blowing with 13 knots. It's blowing from the west. That means that the airplanes are looking us in the face while approaching the runway. 2 747s have already landed. 2 more are underway. One of them being the one featured on the thumbnail, Retro Cargolux. Retro Transavia is also underway from Barcelona. The Embraer A380 is also underway, and since we have gone to winter time now, it's arriving before 1 o'clock, and that means Polderbaan landing almost certainly. The 747s are also both expected to land here, coming in from the west, at a time where normally only one runway is open for arrivals. We can see that the KLM was basking in sunshine for a brief moment. It's going to re-bask in sunshine in a few moments, because I do see that the approach lights are already, yeah, and we can see it. The approach lights are in the sun. Here we go. Have a look. Pete Olding also back. Stephen Pritchett, good morning. Welcome to the show. And thank you for the kind words, Stephen, who says great camera work. I do the best I can. If anything is amiss, let me know. The audio, if it clips, or if the brightness is too low or too high. Initially we began with pretty dark conditions, and I boosted up the exposure compensation. I've lowered it again now that the clouds have become a bit thinner and the sun is higher up in the sky. It seems to me that the brightness is okay. If it's not to your liking, let me know. Not much has changed since we last visited the Polderbaan, except that the grass on the other side, the grass seed, has been growing a little. It's nice to see. It's developing. It's not very dense yet, at least it doesn't look very dense here on the side, but the top part does look a bit better in terms of coverage. Sardi, thank you so much for your super chat and for your kind words. Sardi writes, great camera work, boy. Love your stream and well done to all the mods. Fantastic effort. Everyone, hit that like button. Please don't forget. Well, indeed, Sardi, thanks for reminding us. If you want to help us reach a wider audience, liking the stream and subscribing is definitely the way to go. Subscribing and hitting the bell icon also, if YouTube works well, should give you notifications of whenever new content is announced or new posts in the community section, for instance, have been made. Thank you so much, Sardi, for your kind words and for your super chat. Suck Mike asks, can you also see what kind of cargo the plane is carrying? Would that I could. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Now, for that, I think we would have to get letters of what is expected to arrive from the cargo operators themselves. But it would be nice if we were able to know what was arriving, wouldn't we? 01 Mike D asks, any ducks? Short answer is no. I haven't seen a single duck yet since I began streaming here. In fact, since I arrived here. Thus far, the only animals I've seen have been Maurice Moorhen, Chris Coot, and maybe a few crows. One of the crows was here while I was setting up. In the meantime, a very good morning from a shady figure. Now looking in the canal, insofar as we can see, because the reeds are obscuring view a little bit, there were some coots here while I was setting up. But when the firefighters drove past and I already started waving from here, they already started sounding their horns a bit further to the north, and that probably chased away those birds. I did see them swim away. They were at the far end of the canal, on the right, so to speak. They swam off. Maurice Moorhan, only once did I see him over here, and well, I'm pretty much all by myself here. There is a pedestrian coming this way, as you can see, but even Russell Crowe and his cronies have flown off. I'm not sure if they are in the field over there. I do see some. No, those aren't birds, are they? Or are they? No, that's just that's just darkened leaves. So yeah, there were more birds here when I arrived here and started setting up. But since I've gone live, I haven't seen many birds here. Certainly no ducks yet, unfortunately. DW Wolf, good morning. Arnold van Dam, goedemorgen. Raif, goedemorgen. Stefan, goedemorgen, good morning. Jonah, good morning. Twan, goedemorgen. Welcome to the show, everybody. You're still watching AMS Live. 2 runways are in use now. Runway 27 is opening, is arriving, is accepting all the traffic arriving from the east. Everything arriving from the southwest and from the west is coming this way. One of those airplanes being a Dreamliner from TUI arriving from Curaçao, which looks to become the 4th airplane to land here. 2 airplanes visible right now. A 3rd one is flying base. The 3rd airplane flying base is a KLM 737, and over here we have another KLM 737 on the right and an Embraer 175 that was on the left, also KLM. This is KLM Flight 1042, arriving from Birmingham, 737-900. No care and cabin on this airplane. Typical KLM landing, keeping up the speed, which will allow them to vacate late and be sooner at the gate. David D'Alessio, thank you so much for your super chat. Good day from Sydney, landed there at Christmas. Such a big airport. Absolutely right, David. It's something that if you first come in contact with Schiphol via streams like these and you only see Polderbaan footage, you think, oh well, this is very rural and very small and whatnot. But if you take into consideration that there is the main tower and the terminal building and most of the runways are adjacent to it, and if I zoom out you can see how far away it actually is. The airport area stretches until here. This runway even has a separate dedicated ATC tower just to guide the traffic to and from Polderbaan exclusively. Yeah, it's a big airport, it's a big international airport. You see that even better when I go stream at different locations, such as where we were last week near the McDonald's. I also prefer going there, normally speaking, because it gives you that big international airport vibe. While over here, even though the Polderbaan allows you to have beautiful views at airplanes landing, particularly with Crosswind, of course, it is very rural and it is very monotonous at times. But you're absolutely right, David. It is a big airport. Although seeing Polderbaan streams would make you believe otherwise. Thank you so much again for your super chat, mate. Much appreciated. Embraer 175, KLM Flight 1174. In the meantime, landing here. Hey Yin, also back in the chat. Good to see you, mate. Hope all is well. Richard Smit, goedemorgen. Jornafnak, good morning. Leo, goedemorgen. Crazy Division, good morning. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is KLM flight 1136, and the TUI Dreamliner should be behind it already, according to flight radar. Oh yeah. Sometimes the airplanes are lower, sometimes they're higher. This one certainly is higher. The gear is still up. Going a bit overboard with digital zoom, but you can see the hatches are opening. Gear will extend. The hatches will close again. Nose gear also comes out. Light will turn on. And the hatches are closed again. There you go. Landing lights on? Question mark. Or at least the light on the nose gear I am referring to. Maybe that's a taxi light actually. I'm not a pilot, so I don't know for sure. Don't see any lights here on the nose gear as well, so probably a taxi light then. If there's anybody more knowledgeable who can shine a light on this subject matter, ha ha ha, by all means chime in. Hey Martin, good morning. Welcome back, mate. For those of you joining us just now, welcome to the show. You may have missed the arrival of two 747s already. There are two more underway. One of them is the retro Cargolux featured on the thumbnail of today's show. The A380 is also still underway. Retro Transavia is underway. And thus far we've already seen one Cargolux having arrived from Nairobi, and one Cathay Pacific Cargo 7478 arrived from Paris earlier in the show. The 747s and the A380 that are still underway are all expected to make a landing here on the Polderbaan, because they will arrive at a time when normally speaking only one runway is going to be open. Today that should be this runway. Indeed, Optimus. The Flying AMS Live logo is indeed a Dreamliner, or at least Dreamliners are wannabe AMS Live logos, I should say more appropriately. But indeed, the logo doesn't have the gear extended. That's right. The wings of Dreamliners don't curl as much as the wings on the logo do, so they're fake. They're fake AMS Live logos. But then again, what isn't fake these days? Schiphol having a fake AMS Live wannabe logo. Maybe I should contact a lawyer, see if we can make a case that they basically are copyright infringing. Nah, we're already such good friends. Two airplanes visible. First being KLM flight 1198, returning from Oslo. That's an E2 Embraer, and behind it is a regular Embraer 190 arriving from London City, BA City Flyer. Embraer Power Hour, because there will be two Embraers behind the two Embraers already visible. So that's four Embraers in a row. 3 KLM, 1 BA City Flyer. BA City Flyer is now on the left, number 2 to arrive. The rest will be KLMs. E2 Embraer first, then an Embraer 175 from KLM, and then an Embraer 190. So all three models will land here back to back. Just being interrupted by the BA City Flyer, that is now number 2. That's also an Embraer 190. Guten Morgen, Pyrofreak. Who is tuning in from Essen in Deutschland? Herzlich willkommen und danke für die schönen Wörter. This is KLM, flight 1198, E2 Embraer 195, arriving from Oslo, 1 hour 33 minutes on the way. The Papa Hotel, November X-Ray Oscar, NXO, 2 years old, first flight January 2023. Cabin cabin in the back. And in typical KLM fashion, they keep on rolling, keep up the speed, they vacate later, sooner to the gator. Departures taking place from runway 24. Earlier in the show we saw KLM Cargo 747 take to the skies. Now on its way to Miami, Florida. The two 747s that we are expecting still before or around 1 o'clock at the latest are also arriving from Miami, Florida. The sun is occasionally shining, as you can see. Now the scale of chimney smoke is beautifully illuminated. That does allow us some time to have a look at the weather. Since there are only Embraers coming in, let's do that. Of course, the meter is updated automatically in the ticker. You guys probably already knew that, but for those of you who are more visually inclined, it is also worthwhile to have a look at what things look like visually. So we're standing at the Polderbaan and the wind has turned a little bit more southerly, so it's not completely crosswind, but it is mostly crosswind. 30 knots of wind, broken clouds and 11 degrees. We have a ceiling at 3,700 feet and a few clouds below that at 2,100 feet. It's average air pressure, and below the ceiling we have good visibility. Current runway use, while we're here, let's also have a look. So we're standing over here for inbound traffic. Now everything arriving from the west will go to the Polderbaan and everything arriving from the east will go to the Buitenvelderbaan. The secondary runway for departures today is the Aalsmeerbaan, which will open up again when this will close at around 11:40. The airplanes incoming. There's a 747 that now is no longer visible, but it is there. That's Retro Lux, actually, that now has gone off the radar. Retro Transavia is also expected 12:15. This is the blank Atlas Air. And 12:37 is the ETA for the Emirates A380. Meanwhile, BA City Flyer has now landed here just now. The police also passing by here. And the KLM Embraers over here, up next. Hey, Paul is also back in the chat. Good to see you, Paul. Hope you're doing well. Welcome back, mate. And welcome to the show, everybody else. So, we're back at the Polderbaan. Wind is blowing from the west to southwest. 13 knots, moderate wind, but since it is mostly crosswind, the airplanes are certainly crabbing. Two 747s have already landed, 2 more are on the way. The A380 is on the way. We already saw retros before. The beautiful Turkish A330 landed here. 2 more retros are underway. Retro Lux and Retro Transavia. Embraer 175, no cabin cabin. KLM flight 1056. This is KLM flight 982, arriving from London City, which is interesting because the airplane 2 before this airplane was also arriving from London City, so they must have taken off almost back to back. Everything fine on my end, Paul, thank you for asking. Bit bummed out that I wasn't able to do another stream last weekend, of course, due to the weather. Saw that you guys were basking in sunshine most of the time, while we had a continuous conveyor belt of showers coming in from the northwest, one after the other. But there you go, that's part of autumn here in this neck of the woods. Good morning, Tom. Good morning, OTCR. And good morning, everybody else who may have joined in the meantime. So, the next airplanes after this Embraer 190 are a bit further out still. JetBlue arriving from Boston, one of them. And also KLM arriving from Aberdeen. That's looking a bit odd. ZQ912, what's that? German Airways. Why is it ZQ912? Have a look at the airplane that you see next to the JetBlue arriving from Boston. It's KLM. KLM 90 uniform is the call sign, but the flight number for some reason says ZQ912. I'm not sure exactly what that signifies, if it does mean anything at all. Either way, Optimus Toaster is also celebrating a membership anniversary, 19 months, saying nothing except the airplane dance emoji. Well, we need 1,000 likes for that. How far along are we? 403, so still a long way to go for the next airplane dance. We'll get there eventually at some point during one stream, but I think we need a lot of wind before being able to get that, at least during a weekday stream. Meanwhile, Optimus, thank you so much for your continued support. I hope everything in the lounge is still to your liking. If not, let me know. Let me see what I can do to make things better. And thank you so much for the support. Hope you're going to stick around for many more months to come. Hopefully as a member, but if not, then at least as a regular viewer. And also a massive big thank you to Dion. Dion, who is celebrating 5 months of membership. Thank you so much, Dion. No accompanying text along with the membership anniversary message. Hope everything in the lounge is still to your liking, mate. We're waiting for the next airplane to become visible. It should be an Embraer 190. I think it's flying over there. Yep. That certainly is looking like it. Strange flight number ZQ912. Not exactly sure what that means. Good morning, Vanessa. Good morning, Ilya. Good morning, Derper. And Derper, thank you so much for your continued support. 2 months of membership. No accompanying text along with it. I hope everything in the lounge is still to your liking. Derper, I think is Peter, right? Thank you so much for the support, Peter. Hope everything in the lounge is to your liking. If not, let me know. Let me see what I can do to make things better. Carol in the world, also good morning. Airplane dances. Thank you for your super chat. I think that's Katie. Katie says, did someone say airplane dance? Unfortunately, I'm having to leave in a minute, so we'll miss it. Maybe tomorrow. Well, Katie, I think we are still a few likes shy of doing an airplane dance in today's stream. So if you need to go away in a minute, I don't think it's very likely that you'll miss out on airplane dances. But who knows? You never know. I think it's not going to be very likely, unfortunately. Thank you so much for your support. You didn't have to use a super chat to get your message across. I hope you know that. But make sure to stick around for whenever we do get another airplane dance, Katie. You don't want to miss it. But I think it's more likely going to happen in the weekends than during weekdays. And also when we have more stormy wind. I think we need that. Or the channel needs to grow sizably bigger first. But we'll get another airplane dance sooner or later. I'm pretty sure of that. Two airplanes on the glide stop. KLM flight 912 in the foreground, arriving from Aberdeen in Scotland. That's an Embraer 190. JetBlue flight 31 behind that. That's an A321 arriving from Boston. And if all is well, an E2 Embraer should have turned in. Yeah, visible at the 7 o'clock, almost 6 o'clock of the number 2. That's KLM flight 1704, having arrived all the way from Brussels. All the way. Jonah Aviation says ZQ is the designator for German Airways. I think Flight Radar messed up because of different operator. Yeah. Think so too. We'll just call them KL, flight 912, since that is normally the flight number of KLM arriving from Aberdeen. Stefan, thank you so much for your super chat. Christmas lights on the glide slope, he writes. Absolutely. Well, it's almost November, and when it's November, it's almost December, so Christmas is a-coming. Thought it was Han who said that in 7 weeks from now, the daytime length is starting to increase again, so that means that in 8 weeks from now, it should be Christmas or so. 8 or so weeks, it should be Christmas. So, yeah, why not celebrate with Christmas lights on the glide slope, right? Stefan, thank you so much for your super chat. You didn't have to use the super chat to get the message across, but thank you so much for it. If you looked in the foreground, you could also see that we saw Sheryl Crow over there. I think Russell Crowe. No, not Sheryl Crow. Steven Seagal. And here is his mate. This is Darcy. Darcy, don't know. And Darcy is giving us a modest butt shot. 56 days until Christmas. There you go. Groucho says, Hema has all their Christmas stuff out. I'm not ready for this. Well, good thing that you then haven't visited a garden center in the Netherlands yet. They already began in the beginning of the September. I was getting some grass seeds so that I could also seed the the thinner bits of my lawn. But they were already, and that was back in September, the beginning of September. They were already getting out all the Christmas decorations and whatnot. Ugh. Hey, gewoon Roy, change the handle again. Well, it's definitely visible here. Hopefully they'll change back to the usernames soon. I did see that there was an option in my back end of YouTube when I was setting up this stream to get rid of the leaderboard, that XP thingy. Hopefully that also means that you guys aren't seeing any XP any longer. So apparently that leaderboard I can get rid of, which I of course did because I think it's utter BS. Same for those handles. If it were up to me, you guys would still be using your usernames, but this is something YouTube does. I think I also saw mentioned at times people reporting ads, seeing ads while in the live. That also is something that YouTube does. I have only ads set to at the beginning when you start watching. Also for replay, no mid-roll ads, just an ad at the beginning and that's it. So anything that is pushed in between while you're watching live or while you're watching a replay is YouTube overriding the settings that I have enabled. I specifically got rid of mid-roll ads in replay so that you guys can scroll through it yourselves. Making timestamps of all the headlines cost too much time, so instead of that I thought just get rid of the mid-roll ads and you guys can scroll freely through streams if you want to watch streams on replay, find stuff you want to see yourselves. Anything that is posted in between while live is YouTube. That's not anything that I have set consciously. I don't want you guys to be seeing any ads during the live stream nor during the replay, other than just an ad at the beginning. Meanwhile, Dustin is celebrating 5 months of membership, 5 months already. Thanks for the good streams, he writes. Dustin, thank you so much for your kind words and for your continued support. Happy that you're still happy with the streams. I hope that goes for everybody. Don't forget to leave a like if you are enjoying what you've been seeing thus far. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to stay informed of upcoming live streams. Dustin, thank you so much for your support and for your kind words. Hope you're going to stay on as a member for many more months to come. If anything in the lounge is missing or lacking, let me know and let me see what I can do to make things better. Next airplane arriving is flight 954, arriving from Newcastle, KLM. But German Airways flying on behalf of KLM. It is 11:27 and that means that on paper in 13 minutes from now, runway 27 should close again. And everything inbound should once again be directed to the Polderbaan where we are standing. Hey, more Pauls in the chat. Good morning, Mr. Doan. Adrie, goedemorgen. Bak Snort, good morning. Welcome to the show, everybody. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy. We're here at Polderbaan. Winds are blowing from the west, west-southwest. In other words, a bit of crosswind. And that makes the airplanes arriving here crab. Two 747s have already landed here. There are two more underway, both of them expected to land here. One of the two 747s underway still is Retro Cargolux. Looking forward to that. Also, Retro Transavia is underway, should also land over here full as well, as will the Emirates A380. Since we've gone to summertime, those are all expected to arrive before 1 o'clock. That means only one runway open. That is expected to be Polderbaan today. Sugar beets, having been harvested, still not picked up yet, laying around there. It's that time of year again. And this is KLM flight 924 arriving from Edinburgh in Scotland. I'm hoping that pretty soon the wide bodies are also going to appear again. No Karen cabin on this 737. Karen will have to sit with the plebs. What? It's a bloody shame. Hey, is that? Yep, that's Finnair, and Finnair landed here while I was minutes before I was ready to go live. Actually, they have Santa Claus on the back. Yeah, if you look closely, you might see beard hairs. That's an image of Santa Claus. Finnair is going back to bloody Helsinki in Finland. Hopefully, we'll get to see this specimen up close sometime soon. Pop Naking Myers, bonjour. All right, here we have KLM flight 936 arriving from Glasgow, and the next airplane after that should be the Corendon A350, which I am already seeing flying base. Corendon World to Fly. Particularly if these airplanes are illuminated by the sun, they stand out quite easily and quite clearly. That's the next airplane to land here after the Embraer 190 that is already on final. There it is. KLM flight 936 arriving from Glasgow. Embraer 190. This is the Embraer 190 from KLM in the SkyTeam livery. We haven't seen the other airplane yet, the 737-900. Not sure if we are going to see it. Let's see, I'm looking behind me. I think that the A350 from Finnair already climbed above the cloud base, so we might be hearing it in a few moments, but we aren't going to be able to see it. Peter asks if center is closed. It is. That's closed for maintenance, I think, if I remember correctly, until next week, Tuesday. Also, yearly maintenance, just like what they did on the Polderbaan until last week. Right, there's a car coming this way from the right. T50. KLM in the SkyTeam livery, Embraer 190 rolling out, forgoing the first exit. So no butt shots, no silvery butt shots. Maybe we will get more lucky with the A350. This is Corendon flight 5990 arriving from Willemstad, Curaçao. Flight time has been 8 hours and 41 minutes. The ECNTB. The airplane is 3 years old. First flight April 2022. And indeed, Sardi, that's right. It's a limitation of Spreadshop or Spreadshirt that they don't deliver to, I think also not to New Zealand, but also not to Australia. They do deliver to almost all other countries in the world, but for some reason, Australia and New Zealand, not yet, or maybe no longer. I'm not sure if they ever did deliver to those countries. I'm not sure why they don't, but it's right that they don't. It is a pitfall of using Spreadshirt for the merch shop. And I don't know why they don't deliver to those countries. They do deliver to Japan, for instance. They do deliver to other countries in Asia. So I'm not sure. Michael says not delivering to the US either. Is that so? They used to do that. Steven, aka Just Play Nuts, has definitely received merch before. He even sent me a picture. So that must mean that they no longer then deliver to the United States. Interesting. Must have to do with all the geopolitical things, all the tariffs and whatnot. That's the only reason I can think of why they would no longer deliver to the United States, because it probably has become too expensive or something. Foster Darshane also back in the chat. Good to see you, Mr. F. Good morning. Is it still morning? Yeah, it is still morning. Just double checking. Yeah, the big orange one might have something to do with it. Although I also, I don't know, Michael, if you try to order via the UK store or the European store, because I think it was Captain Jerry who also, by the way, successfully purchased merch. I know for a fact. He did say that if you're American, you need to order from the UK store instead of the European store. So I'm not sure if you checked both already, Michael. Because that at least used to make a difference. Marino, also good morning. On board German Wings landing now. Landing on the wrong runway, mate. You guys are a few minutes too early. Had you arrived a few minutes later, we would probably have been able to see you land over here. Now, where are the airplanes on the glide slope to runway 27? I do see one. That's probably not German Wings, is it? No, this is a regular Embraer 175 arriving from Munich. A very good morning to everybody who has joined. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy, and we are now filming arrivals to runway 27. We're standing at the Polderbaan, runway 18 right, which is also open for arrivals. The next arrival is a bit further out, so I thought let's indulge and have a look at some of the airplanes landing on runway 27. This is the Corendon Hotel that you see. Nice terrace over there. And for those of you who are curious about bird life over here, Maurice Moorhan has also arrived on the scene. doing morning cardio in the form of running instead of a morning swim. Very versatile creatures. They can do cardio in different forms: swimming, running. I haven't seen them cycle yet. If they were able to do that, then they could have. Then they could also participate in triathlons, which of course would be nice. Wonder how they'd hold up against humans. Might be that they are faster swimmers. Yeah. So runway 27 is still open. For how much longer, I don't know. I think maybe the E2 that is arriving right now might be the last one. Yeah. I think I'm not seeing any other airplanes going to runway 27 anymore after the E2 that is now number 1 to land. So if all is well, Polderbaan once again has become the only runway for arrivals until approximately 1 o'clock. Before then, 2 747s and the A380 from Emirates will land here. So too will the Retro Transavia. Orange Pride about to take off on runway 24, Maria says. Thanks for the heads up. In that case, let's see, this is just EastJet, although it is arriving from Edinburgh. World to fly Corendon A350 vacating the Polderbaan area and on its way to the main platform area. We pointed the camera in the direction of runway 24 because, as Maria was indicating in the chat already, the KLM Orange Pride, the PHBVA, ready to go. Still waiting for it to become visible, but it should be soon. Hey Pete, what up mate? Next arrival behind me on the Polderbaan is KLM flight 1030. That's arrival from Persenchester. Oh dear, is that so? User numbers and digits. No more Britty hoppers. Eastern have gone bust. I didn't know that. That is very sad. So that will probably mean that KLM will have to source more Embraers to fill the gaps. Wonder where they'll get them from. What's the status of the Orange Pride? It's still not visible. Has it already taken off? Am I too late? Rolling now. Okay, thank you, Maria. Right, KLM PHBVA Orange Pride rolling on runway 24 should become apparent in a moment. Yep, have it in sight. There it is already. Where's it going to today? Lima or somewhere else? PHBVA Orange Pride just having taken off from runway 24 First flight January 2008. Panama City. Thank you, Richard and Artem. So there you go, Orange Pride on its way. Iceland Air Max 8 next to land here. And also a bit of blue further north in the sky. Here and there are patches of blue. Over here, thus far, it has stayed mostly cloudy, and looking in the direction the wind is blowing from, doesn't look like it's going to change, at least over here, anytime soon. Silver lining is that at least it's staying dry. Only a few droplets that I encounter here in the first half hour of the show. Those were very isolated and temporary. Since then, it has stayed dry. It's expected to stay dry the remainder of the day. I think also tomorrow morning it should stay dry. I'm not too sure yet about Saturday and Sunday though. More showery, rainy weather expected for the weekend. I'm not sure about how extensive it's going to be and when exactly the rain will fall. Still hopeful to be doing 4 streams as normal the upcoming weekend. Tomorrow probably should be okay. Not sure yet about Saturday and Sunday. Fingers crossed. Right. The traffic coming in at Schiphol is now all landing on runway 18 right, the Polderbaan. It is a bit more calm right now. A couple of Embraer 190s are arriving. One already visible. The other one will appear pretty soon in the background from the right. One arriving from behind in the background. Right now, that's KLM Flight 1788 arriving from Hanover here in the foreground. KLM Flight 984 arriving from London City. SRD using a super chat to get a message across. Good day to Butsy1111, the legend from Brisbane in Australia. Well, a warm welcome to you then, Butsy. Also on behalf of Sardi. Sardi, thank you so much for the super chat. You didn't have to use a super chat as far as I'm concerned to get your message across. Well, thank you for doing it and welcome, Butsy. Yeah, indeed, Omogofi. Radar is not the most reliable source, particularly not when you're already looking for what it's going to be like on Saturday. It does give you a rough indication, but tomorrow evening you'll know with more certainty. And even then, when it's very uncertain, I always double check in the mornings. Well, I almost always do. Unless, of course, it's pretty certain that it's going to stay dry. Correndo World to Fly has arrived on the main platform area. At the main platform area. Still not at its gate though. That landed 10-15 minutes ago. Just goes to show how big this airport is. That when you're landing at the Polderbaan, you still have a considerable taxi ahead of you before finally reaching your gate. Now, looking on flight radar, there's a 777 flying downwind west of me. KLM Flight 706. I'm looking to my left to see if I can see anything. As expected, I think those airplanes are still too high to be seen. Above the ceiling. Paul also back from a dull overcast Leiden. Goedemorgen. Leroy, good morning. Welcome to the show, everybody else. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy. In the upcoming hour and 15 minutes, 2 747s and the A380 and the Retro Transavia are expected. Let's have a quick look on flight radar to see where those airplanes are all at. This is the Orange Pride flying out. Flying in German airspace already is the A380. ETA 1235. Right now, the Cargolux Retro has an ETA of 1242. Retro Transavia has an ETA of 12:15. That's going to be the first arrival of the airplanes I mentioned. And Atlas Air is arriving around 1 o'clock. More airplanes are on the way. Singapore Airlines is arriving around 4 o'clock. And this airplane is expected around 3:45. That's weird. This airplane seems to be closer by than this one, but it has a later ETA. Either way, those are two airplanes that are out of the scope for today's show. A quick look at visualization of the weather. Of course, in the ticker you can also see the METAR, but this is for those of you who are visually inclined. What does it look like? The wind is blowing once again almost perpendicular to the runway heading, 260 degrees, 30 knots. That makes the airplanes crab a little bit. We do have a ceiling at 3,500 feet, which is why that 777 wasn't visible yet, because it was flying higher than that. Below the ceiling we do have uninterrupted visibility, 10 plus kilometers. Yeah, so that's the current status quo. Meanwhile, Peter Olding is celebrating 16 months of membership, and he writes, "Thanks for a great stream." Well, thank you so much, Peter, for your continued support. Hope everything in the lounge is still to your liking. If not, let me know and let me see what I can do to make things better. Massive big thank you for your support and for your kind words. You're welcome. I'm glad to hear you're enjoying the show still, and I hope that goes for everybody. If you are enjoying what you've been seeing thus far, don't forget to leave a like, and if you want to stay informed of upcoming live streams and also boost the algorithm, then make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. 2 Embraer 175s. The second one is now turning in. And after that, we're going to see a 777-200 arriving from Rio de Janeiro. The one that I tried to find in the sky when it was still flying to the north on its downwind leg, but couldn't because it was flying above the ceiling. Artem says Dash 8-100 is departing from runway 22. And I am looking to my right to see if I can spot it. It's probably already airborne. If we are hearing propellers, it will be the Dash 8s. And Butsy, thank you so much for your super chat. Great stream. Shout out to Sardi, the legend. And Sardi, in your turn, thank you so much for 5 gifted memberships. You didn't have to do that. Also, Butsy, you didn't have to use a super chat to get your message across, but thank you both for the donations, for the generosity. A warm welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge new members. If you are one of the recipients of Sardi's gifted memberships, don't forget to say thank you to him. Make sure to go over to the community section for members and cast your vote in the custom emoji replacement poll. 4 options that you can choose from. The poll runs until Monday evening local time. The replacement of playtime, which has become defunct, of course. Pick your favorite. Don't forget to use custom emojis if you are a member. If you are one of the recipients of Sardi's gifted memberships, don't forget to say thank you, and please enjoy the custom emojis. Sardi, thank you once again. And also Batsy, thank you for your super chat. Freddy Dutch is also back in the chat. Good morning. And good morning everybody else who may have joined in the meantime. You're still watching AMS Live. We're here at the Polderbaan. Crosswind from the west. That means airplanes are crabbing. It's only 13 knots of wind, so no go-rounds. I don't expect to see any, or at least not induced by the wind. 2 747s have already landed here this morning. If you joined us later, you may have missed them. Cathay Pacific Cargo arriving from Paris, and Cargolux, regular livery, arriving from Nairobi. Cargolux in the retro livery is still underway. Should be arriving here within the hour. Around the same time as the Emirates A380. Earlier they had the same ETA. For a moment it was looking like maybe we were going to get to see the mother of all glide slope shots with a 747 following an A380. Now the ETAs are differing a few minutes. That still doesn't rule out the possibility of seeing them back to back, because you never know what other airplanes are put in between the wide bodies. Fingers crossed. Retro Cargolux should be arriving around the same time as the Emirates A380, and within half an hour after those two have landed, another Atlas Air, not standard livery, but though I think it was previously Polar or something like that. Yellow tail, white body. Meanwhile, a massive big thank you to both Stefan Tudor for your super chat. Not only do we enjoy the show, but we need the show. Well, thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you for your super chat. I'll do my best to keep the show going as much as possible. And also a massive big thank you to John Logan, who just now also gifted 5 memberships. Mate, you didn't have to do that. Thank you for doing it anyway. A warm welcome to the Aurora Skylines, those new members. Don't forget to say thank you to John if you're one of the 5 recipients of his gifted memberships. Have fun with the custom emojis. Make sure to cast your vote in the poll in the community section. Don't forget to say thank you to John. John, thank you so much. And welcome to the Aurora Skylines new members. This is KLM Flight 706, 777-200 arriving from Rio de Janeiro, which is in the vicinity of a country called Ecuador, if you look on a global scale at least. The clouds are getting thicker again. Makes me wonder if the brightness setting is still optimal. I've added a quarter stop of exposure compensation lately, and that seems to be working rather well on average, but sometimes if the clouds are very dense, it looks like it might still be a bit too little. This is plus half a stop. What do you guys think? This is plus half a stop of exposure compensation. Is that too bright? This is back to what I had it on previously, plus a quarter stop. You guys tell me what you prefer, which one you prefer, and I'll set it to that. I think maybe half a stop is even a little better than just the quarter stop we have it on right now. But let me know. Keep this, the quarter stop, or a bit brighter at plus half a stop. Ryanair will be next to land here with a non-MAX 737, in other words, a normal 737, arriving from Malaga. After that, we're going to see an Embraer 175 arriving from Leeds, an Embraer 175 arriving from Luxembourg, and an A321neo arriving from London Heathrow. There's also a car coming this way. It is K5. That used to be K1 and still says so on the license plate in the front, but the side says K5. Drag race? Question mark? Hit the brakes. Reverse. Make noise. Come on. You know you want to. What the fudge? Ex-KLM pilots or something? That was rather buttery, first of all. And second of all, they're doing a KLM style landing where they keep up the speed and vacate late. What the fudge is that? Half looks better. Several of you seem to prefer plus half a stop, which is what I've put it on right now. This is plus half a stop. If it's too much, let me know. But I also thought that things were getting a bit dimmer again, also on my screen. That's the only downside, the major downside that I have with this XA60 camera, is that it doesn't allow you to show the histogram. So makes it a bit harder to estimate to what extent we are over or under exposing. Stacy is also back, stopping by for a short time to leave a like and say hello. Whoa, hello to you too, Stacy. Hope you've had a good day. Hope all is well on your end. That was looking like a drag race. It didn't come to fruition. In the duration I was setting up this morning, two United 767s landed. Bit bummed out that I wasn't able to film the landing. Haven't seen the 767 since. So for those of you who are tuning in later, you have missed 2 747s earlier in the show, landing here on the Polderbaan. There are 2 more underway, expected before or around 1 o'clock, so in the upcoming hours. So both of those 747s are expected to land over here since, first of all, they're both arriving from the west. Second of all, they should be arriving here while Polderbaan is only open, the only open runway for inbound traffic. Well, the latter now has an ETA of 101, but it's still arriving from the west, so it should be landing here. In other words, we have 2 747s expected in the next hour. Retro Transavia will arrive here, I think, in 15 or so minutes from now. We already saw a retro A330 from Turkish, very beautifully landing here. And the A380, of course, Emirates A380, expected to land here in just over half an hour or so, which is also around the same time that the retro Cargolux is expected. That's the 747 featured on the thumbnail of today's show. Good morning SL, DKJH and Koen, goedemorgen, good morning. Pate says, want to borrow an extra external camera monitor to try waves, etc. Well, that's perfectly fine. Thank you for the offer, Pate. I do have a camera monitor lying at home, which I did take out a few times, but I ended up not taking it out because the surface area of my camera only gets bigger, means the susceptibility to the wind increases, and I am already not happy with how much my camera footage shakes whenever things get windy out here. I have a Samsung Galaxy S25 24 Ultra attached to my camera already. You can see the setup on the recent pictures posted in the community section. It's already pretty susceptible to the wind. Attaching a camera or a monitor to it only makes things worse. So while it does show you a lot of detail, and my monitor also allows me to show histograms, etc., I'm still not using it since it only makes the susceptibility to the wind bigger. But thanks for the offer, Pate. This is KLM Flight 1004, arriving from London Heathrow. Hey, that's good news. ML says 757 Iceland Air 1216. That is very good news indeed. The 757s becoming ever more of a rarity. So anytime we have a chance of seeing them, it's good. Once again, a few slight drizzly droplets I am feeling. It doesn't look like it's going to continue for an extended period of time, nor should it get more intensive. Might be that the camera picks up a droplet. If that's the case and I'm not seeing it, do let me know. Good day, Super Press, who asks how I can change back to my old nick here on YouTube. Can't find it. Well, the handles is something that YouTube engages or disengages. You can't change the name of your handle. I'm pretty sure that either Maria or Paul still has the instructions. Frank, goedemiddag, good afternoon. Sarah, good afternoon. Good to see you again. Bo, good afternoon. It's 12:01. Afternoon has begun over here. Wintertime has also begun last weekend. Means that if you're watching this stream from outside of Europe, the starting and stopping hours will have changed a little. It also means that the Emirates A380 will now more often land before 1 o'clock and will land on the primary runway for arrivals, If there's wind blowing from the north, that should be runway 06. If there's wind blowing from the south, it should be runway 18 right, which is the case today. In other words, I'm expecting the Emirates A380 to land here shortly. It's expected in half an hour or so already, if I'm not mistaken. Around the same time, Retro Cargolux is also arriving. Even though it isn't windy, the temperatures are relatively low, and I think I need to re-invite the Schiphol elephant. There we are again. Should make things sound a bit less stuffy. Fulls well, the echo that you heard during the previous stream will no longer come back. That was an issue where I didn't sync the audio channels, both audio channels I'm using properly. There was one frame of difference, one frame of lag between the two feeds. My ambient audio enters the switcher via my camera, and that makes it enter a bit later than the voiceover audio, which is run through a separate channel directly into the switcher. Means that I have to delay the audio of the voiceover so that it is perfectly in sync with the ambient microphone. The ambient microphone always picks up a little of the voiceover sounds, and if they're not synced, it results in an echo, and usually that you don't hear that unless I have the ambient audio turned up a little bit, which I had during the windy stream on Friday last week. So when I was doing my airplane dance, I was still talking during doing it, and I was further away from the microphone, the ambient microphone, the blimp. You didn't hear an echo, and when I returned to where my camera was, and I was in closer proximity to my blimp, all of a sudden you started hearing the echo. If all is well, I've thoroughly tested it. Everything is now synced again. So even if I turn up the ambient audio, and I was looking for an airplane that I saw a bit earlier, but no longer am I seeing it. The echo should have gone and shouldn't be coming back. The A330 from Bus Cargo that was flying base was illuminated by the sun temporarily, which made it stand out quite clearly. Now it's a bit harder to see it, but I do see it now. There it is. Then the wide body arriving on the scene. Bus Cargo, flight 6124, arriving from Doha. That's an A330-200. Over here in the foreground we have an E2 Embraer 195 from KLM arriving from Bergen. Gear extending on the A330, visible beautifully. I would think everything is fine indeed, Paul. No echoes, even if I turn up the ambient. Let me do that, just to... Here we go, going really high with the ambient. You should now also hear my voiceover on the ambient, but if all is well, it should still not sound echoey. And the ambient now set back to what I had it on before. It was just a single frame, so that's a fraction of a second. But yeah, it still made the audio sound like I was in a phone booth or in a hall or something. It's really hard to test at home if you speak and you use normal voice. You don't hear it that clearly, but if you clap, for instance, you have a short sound, an abrupt sound that begins and ends abruptly, you can definitely hear it more clearly. That's how I was able to tweak the settings. Anyway, without getting too bogged down on the technicals. The echo has gone. Wasn't a malfunction, it was just a wrong setting. A suboptimal setting. Mascargo, arriving from Doha, flight 6124, here it is. Next airplane to land here. A330-200, 6 hours and 33 minutes underway. It's the 9M mud. Well, the fields next to Polderbaan are also a bit muddy here and there. A lot of rain has fallen in the last few days, the last week actually. Hopefully we'll get a dry spell sometime soon. The airplane we're now looking at is 13 years old. Its first flight was in March 2012. Will it use its reversers? Fingers crossed. Double chin. Living the good life. No reverser. Such a shame. All right. EastJet is flying overhead, according to Flight Radar. At what altitude? NetJets. Cessna citation. Oh, 9,000 feet. Think I am able to hear it. Seeing it is impossible flying that high. Ceiling still at around 3,000 feet. So unfortunately, cannot see that EastJet flying to the east. Morris, good morning. Annette, good morning. Welcome to the show, everybody else. Gilberto, good morning. Good to see you again, mate. Hope you're doing well. Vueling, flight 8309, arriving from Barcelona, is up next. And after that, an EastJet that might give you the cramps if you're Luton intolerant. So best to look away if you are. Arriving from London, Luton. Hey, and there is a cargo MNG with green tail, A321 turning in, arriving from Cologne. If it carries water, it carries eau de Cologne. Haha. Hey, Wolfgang is also back. Good to see you, man. Welling, wheeling, fueling, foiling. There it is. Iceland Air, flight 500, 757-200, coming this way. It's the old livery of Iceland Air, the better looking one, in my humble opinion. Nice that we get to see that as well. For those of you who joined us later, you may have missed retro A330 from Turkish. But we are still going to see two more retros, namely retro Cargolux and retro Transavia, all before the hour ends. Two 747s have already landed, two more are expected in the upcoming hour, as is the A380. So if you don't have to be anywhere, stick around because there's plenty more coming. And just like Pokemon, we are going to try to catch them all. Niels also back in the chat. Afternoon, boy, and everyone in the chat, he writes. And he is also celebrating 4 months of membership. Mate, thank you so much for the ongoing support. I hope everything in the lounge is still to your liking. Good afternoon to you too. And thank you, Niels, for your continued support. EastJet, without a cabin cabin, arriving from London Luton. Might give you the cramps if you're Luton intolerant. Don't say I didn't warn you. Now, what Mascargo is doing, according to Flight Radar, I am not sure. It says it's now north of me. According to Flight Radar, we should see it somewhere over there. At least that's what it says on my Flight Radar. I'm not sure if you guys... Oh, well, now it's gone. There you go. MMG is next. MNG A321 arriving from Cologne. 36 minutes on the way. It's the one with the green tail. 17-year-old airplane. First flight January 2008. Hey Veronique, good afternoon. Mervin, good afternoon. Aeon Pilot, good afternoon or good morning to you probably. Milan, good afternoon. Crosswindy conditions. The wind has been rather constant. Not a single airplane that came close to going around. I don't expect to see any go-arounds with wind like today, but the crabbing is nice. Modest wind, but blowing almost perpendicularly to the runway heading, making the airplanes crab, and that's always nice to see. Go green. You don't tell me what I need to do. No airplane tells me what to do. All right, quick check-in with Flight Radar to see what we can expect. 747's Retro Transavia is already on final. In other words, it is this one, and now I'm only seeing it. So, rain check on Flight Radar update. This is Transavia Retro, the A321neo arriving from Barcelona. Yeah. Thought we had time, but we didn't. Second retro of today's show. Next after Turkish, the beautiful Turkish A330. And retro Cargolux will be next. The next retro after this. Nice that the sun semi-shines on the beautiful livery. It has that cute boop snoot snooty. Ooh, nice. Nice shine. Right. Where was I? Oh yeah, quick look at Flight Radar to see what is coming. So, the Emirates A380 is approaching Dutch airspace. Should be the next arrival. Cargolux, Retro, ETA 1240, ETA of the A380 is 4 minutes past that, so might still have a chance of seeing them back to back. Atlas Air arriving shortly before 1 o'clock, 12:58, the estimated time of arrival. Next up, Iceland Air Flight 500. That is a 757-200 in the old livery of Iceland Air, which I think looks infinitely better than that sterile, monotonous white and blue that they currently have. The sun is shining on it beautifully. Let's look and listen. It does have a different nose. Absolutely gorgeous airplane. Next up, Shamrock, flight 604, arrival from Dublin. This is an A320. Behind it is KLM, flight 1800. Things are brightening up again. I'm going to lower the exposure compensation back to +1/4 stop because I think things are getting a little too bright as far as I can see it. I think we're going to get a butt shot of Aer Lingus. Hey Rolof, goedemorgen. Hoe is het? Het is oké, het is wel oké. Ik hoef nog niet per se de verwarmde handschoenen aan. Het kan nog zo. Klopt, ja. Dus ik mag niet klagen. Ik hopelijk blijft het een beetje droog komend weekend. Dat vooral. Dat zou mooi zijn. Wat zei je? Dan moet het droog blijven als je een vrij weekend hebt. Zeker, zeker. Hey, goede dienst Roelof. Spreek je later. Officer Roelof, coming over for a small chit-chat while on duty. He has the weekend off, so it better stay dry, he said. I sure hope he'll be right. We can definitely go with a dry weekend as well. KLM flight 1800 having arrived from Düsseldorf. Alright, next up KLM flight 1602, arriving from Rome. The lights on the left are KLM flight 1088, arriving from Cardiff, Embraer 190. Right, and a Cargolux 747 to Luxembourg from 18 left. There it is. Already airborne. Climbing pretty eagerly, as to be expected when flying such a short distance. KLM flight 1602, arriving from Rome, 737-800. It's time for more narrow bodies for the time being. I'm wondering which will be the next wide body. So yeah, the sun once again shining through a small gap in the clouds. Things are looking to be a bit more open now than they were an hour or so ago. I'm not too sure to what extent it's actually going to get more sunny than those brief moments in between the clouds. It's not looking like anything substantially more open is coming this way when looking to the westerly horizon where the wind is blowing from. Hey, Jörg also back in the chat. He heard Düsseldorf and immediately came in the chat. Good to see you again, Jörg. Hope all is well. If you joined us only just now, you probably missed two 747s. You missed Retro Transavia, you missed Retro Turkish, but Retro Cargolux is still underway. As is the Emirates A380 as is another 747. Two 747s and the A380 are still expected before 1 o'clock local time. You can find the local time in the bottom left corner of your screen. Don't forget, guys, if you're enjoying yourselves, make sure to leave a like if you haven't already. And make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to stay informed of upcoming notifications, any posts made, any pictures, any new polls, and also, of course, any streams being announced. This is a very floaty approach. That was looking very floaty. Ooh, now I am once again standing in the sunshine here myself. What? It's going to continue like this. I'm going to get warm here. What? Gerrit also back in the chat. Good to see you, Gerrit. Hope all is well. Tap by Portugal up next, arriving from Lisbon. Looking in the water, all is still calm. With respect to aquatic birds, I mean. Tap by Portugal, flight 668, arriving from Lisbon. That's an A321neo. 2 hours and 31 minutes on the way. Five-year-old airplane, first flight November 2019. Hey Killer B, goedemiddag, good afternoon. Welcome to the show, one and all. Two 747s and A380 expected before 1 o'clock. They're all three expected to land on this runway too. Center runway is closed for maintenance. Runway 27 is the secondary runway in use for arrivals on a day like today when the wind is blowing from the west to southwest. Next airplane arriving here is going to be KLM flight 1754, arriving from Hamburg in Germany. It's a 737-700, a 737-800, its bigger sibling, also from KLM, arriving from Milan behind it. Looks like we'll have a small gap after these two airplanes have landed, and then Air France flight 1640 is looking to become the third airplane to land here. Well, it's not going to be long-lived, but for now I am standing in the sunshine over here. And what a difference it makes, doesn't it? It is absolutely day and night difference. The backdrop still looking gloomy as it ever as it did throughout the stream. Let's see, narrowbodies, 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 narrowbodies. There is wide-bodied traffic arriving from the west, nearing the coast. KLM flight 767 arriving from Bonaire. KLM flight 622 arriving from Atlanta are approaching the coast and will probably land before the A380 will. A380 has entered Dutch airspace. Retro Cargolux is still crossing the Gulf of Yorkshire, presumably. Wind on the scale of chimney smoke is currently looking like so. Wind is still blowing from the west mostly. A little bit south of west, but most of the wind is crosswind for the airplanes landing here on the Polderbaan. The next airplane arriving here is going to be Air France flight 1640, and that's an A220-300 or Bombardier C-Series. The gear is extending, or no, has already extended by the looks of it. Lot Embraer 190 behind it. And there's the lot. Always a lot to see here. Embraer 190, flight 263. BA City Flyer arriving from London City next. After that, that's going to appear from the left if we are able to witness that before needing to change the camera position. Three narrow bodies and then at least one wide body, KLM flight 767 arriving from Bonaire. BA City Flyer should be turning in, so something should appear from the left at some point. Or at least on paper it should. Hadi Yillard, goedemiddag. Good to see you, mate. This is KLM, Air France, aka KLM South, flight 1640, arriving from Paris. Flight time has been 44 minutes. That's a nominal flight duration. The Verhupne, landing in the sunshine. Polderbaan still illuminated by the sun. Where I am standing, I'm already standing in semi-shade. So I'm thinking the sun will also disappear from Polderbaan itself pretty soon. Here, already in the shade. Nice Karen cabin in the back. Bloodshot in the making? I think there is. Have a look at those see-through engines. You can see right through them. Well, maybe later it is going to get a bit more sunny. Looking at the southwesterly horizon, it does look brighter now than it does here in the foreground. So maybe there's actually more sunshine headed our way later in the day. We'll probably arrive here when the stream is over. But that's okay. Lot flight 263 is landing here, arriving from Warsaw. Looking very polished. Clean as a whistle. Here too, another butt shot in the making. Hey, Lisa, also back in the chat. Good to see you, Lisa. If you have time to stick around, 2 747s and the A380 are expected in the next half hour. In fact, the first 747 of the two and the A380 are expected shortly. The 747 arriving first will be Retrolux, the Retro Cargolux. Nice 2-airplane glide slope shot there. Both airplanes are still crabbing. Even though the wind is only 13 knots, the wind is blowing nearly perpendicularly to the runway heading, and that makes all the airplanes crab, crab, crab. Here in the foreground we have BA City Flyer Flight 8489 arriving from, you guessed it, London City. Behind it is KLM Flight 767 arriving from Bonaire. That's an A330-200. Transavia A321neo is turning final in the background, following the A330 arriving from Valencia. BA City Flyer, flight time 37 minutes, nominal flight duration. 13-year-old airplane, first flight made 2012. And the Crayfish fishermen are returning with their boat. You might pick up their audio in a moment. Gaat prima, ja hoor, met jullie ook.
Wat aan het doen?
Wat ik aan het doen ben?
Ja, vloggen.
Ik ben aan het vissen.
Kijk uit, mag ik je wat vragen?
Tuurlijk mag je wat vragen.
Weet je ziet me hier wel meer scharrelen.
Ja.
En ik zie jou ook scharrelen.
Ja.
En dan hoor ik je Engels praten.
Ja.
En sta je dan in contact met mensen op andere vliegvelden?
Nee, ik sta niet in contact met mensen op andere vliegvelden, maar ik heb wel een internationaal publiek van mensen die niet Nederlands spreken. Dus vandaar dat ik Engels spreek.
Ja.
Oh, ja?
Maar dan landt er een vliegtuig en dan meld je dat of zo? Of?
Nee hoor, nee. Mensen zitten dit gewoon te kijken. Als je op YouTube naar mijn kanaal gaat, dan kun je het ook gewoon meekijken. Dan kun je zien wat ik film.
Oh, en dan doe je de uitleg bij?
Ik doe de uitleg bij, precies.
Ja,
En wat is de uitleg dan? Wat ze zien? Wat voor
Wat je
vliegtuig?
ziet, precies. Ja.
Wat is je YouTube-account?
AMS Live.
AMS Live.
Ja.
Leuk joh.
Hier
is
zie,
je
je het
naam?
hier zie je het op mijn pet staan.
Oh ja. Wat is je naam?
Mijn naam is Boy.
Boy. En dit is jouw baan? 24/7.
Dit is niet mijn baan 24/7.
Oh. Hoe vaak doe je dit dan?
Maar dat gaat het misschien nog wel ooit een keer worden, hopelijk.
Ja? Hoe vaak doe je dit dan?
Ik doe dit nu, als het weer het toelaat, 4 keer per week.
Oké.
Dus je kunt me vaak vinden hier.
En dan betalen jouw abonnees, die betalen jou voor, of krijg je per advertentie betaald of zo?
Allebei.
Oh ja.
Allebei, ja.
Ja.
Oké.
Maar je bent goed uitgerust, goede camera zie ik.
Redelijk goed uitgerust, ja, zeker.
En wat heb je nog meer nodig? Opnameapparatuur?
Ja, opnameapparatuur, de software, power supply, een hoop kabels,
Ja.
een hele hoop.
Ja.
Als je het goed wil doen, tenminste.
En wat doe
Je
je-
kan ook gewoon een iPhone gebruiken.
Hey, en wat doe je er dan naast?
Wat doe ik er dan naast?
Ja.
Ja, ander werk.
Ja, maar wat is dat voor werk?
Ja, dat is niet gerelateerd hieraan. Dus het is
Oh.
niet zo boeiend, denk ik, om te vermelden.
Nee, oké.
En een mooie wereld. Hè. Eigenlijk ben ik eigenlijk stapelgek ben ik. Joh. Weet je, we lopen kloten met een bootje. Hey.
Maar dat is toch ook mooi?
Jawel.
Ja, ja.
Ja, jullie zitten net nog wat dichter bij de vliegtuigen dan wij hier. Dus wat dat betreft,
precies.
jullie hebben helemaal een goede
ja.
positionering.
Ze zijn streng hè, bij Schiphol hè?
Ja.
Oh.
Ja.
Komen ze ook wel eens bij jou aan? Van wat ben je hier eigenlijk aan het doen?
Nee. Nee, de politie die kent me, de marechaussee kent me, die
Ja.
weten wat ik aan het doen ben, dus dat is geen probleem.
Ja.
En maak je wel eens aparte vliegtuigen mee dat je weet wat er komt? Of
Ja,
niet?
ja zeker aparte vliegtuigen. Er komt er zo meteen nog eentje aan, die is redelijk zeldzaam.
En wat is dat dan?
Dat is een 747 in een retro uitrusting, zou ik maar zeggen.
Oké,
Die ziet eruit zoals de vliegtuigen er vroeger uitzagen.
oké.
Geinig hè?
Die gaat echt over, ik denk over een minuut of 5 komt
Ja,
hij hier
we zullen-
landen.
Dan zullen we je
maar
niet
dat heb
storen meer.
Is
dat
goed.
heb jij al aanzien komen op de radar.
Ja, kan je op Flight Radar kun je het allemaal zien
Ja.
aanzien komen.
Hey, we zullen je niet verder storen. want we
Is
gaan
hartstikke
vast
goed,
nog wel.
jongens.
Nog wat
Kijk,
crayfish
Jaap.
vangen.
Jaap.
En jij?
Jaap, de Crayfish Fisherman. Ik ben Boy.
Boy.
Boy, precies.
Hey.
Jongens,
Ik ben Lars.
Hoi, hoi.
Lars.
Fijne dag.
Jongens, fijne dag.
Jo, doei, doei.
De Fisherman. Oh, lovely. The one on the right was making notes even. He had a note block and pen out. He was writing enthusiastically along the name of the channel and everything else. Lovely. This is KLM Flight 622 arriving from Atlanta, Georgia, 787-10 Dreamliner. And it is looking like the A380 and the 747 will be back to back. Wow, the mother of all glide slope shots. If that were to come true, English is failing. I also realized that I haven't sipped any vodka, only coffee until now. Hey, Pilot Sander is standing at the takeoffs. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're having a good day. Here's the A380. And Cargolux is also approaching. The mother of all glide slope shots. If they let the 747 turn in a bit early, that would be great. Make sure that we get to see them back to back. Yeah, Saudi is also approaching. I think they're going to let the 747 go ahead of the Saudi. In the foreground, we have an E2 Embraer 195 KLM Flight 1944, arriving from Basel. Yeah, Cargolux is turning in, looking on flight radar, so it's going to be a back-to-back mother of all glide slope shots. 8 engines for the price of 2. Okay. Outer gear already extended, inner main gear is also extending right now. Time to roll the camera, because we are getting another mother of all glide slope shots. Back-to-back landings of Emirates Flight 147 and Cargolux, retro Cargolux. Separate video incoming, ladies and gentlemen. You can rest assured this will make it into a separate video. Retro Cargolux, arriving from Miami, Florida, is flying base now and should become visible pretty soon. Emirates Flight 147 already established on the localizer, on the glide slope I should say. Have a look at the flight time of Cargolux, 7 hours and 46 minutes. In a minute from now it'll have flown 7 hours and 47 minutes. Look at the flight time of the retro Cargolux. There it is. On the left. Mother of all glide slope shots is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. Retro Cargolux. With that cute Boop the Snoot Snooty. And in the foreground, Emirates Flight 147 arriving from Dubai, the daily flight. There we go, mother of all glide slope shots once again. Emirates Flight 147 in the foreground. Flight time at this point, usually around 6.5 hours. It's taken a bit longer today, 6 hours and 50 minutes. 11-year-old airplane, first flight April 2014. The Alpha 6 Echo Oscar Alpha. Now illuminated by the sun, which is creeping out from behind clouds. Behind it is Cargolux in the retro livery, Retro Lux, arriving from Miami, Florida. 7 hours and 48 minutes on the way. 19-year-old airplane, first flight July 2006. The mother of all glide slope shots, ladies and gentlemen. The A380 and the 747. We've seen it before a few months ago. what a great pleasure to see it again. Now, will they get loud? First up, the A380. Let's look and listen. Have a look at how bright it looks with the sun illuminating it. No time to waste, gotta move with haste. Next up, Retrolux. Have a look at its cute boop the snoot snooty. Retro Cargolux 747 arriving from Miami, Florida, and in the background, Saudi Air Flight 215, a 7879 Dreamliner arriving from Jeddah. This is Cargolux in the retro livery, 7 hours and 49 minutes the flight time. The LXNCL Lima X-Ray, November Charlie Lima. 19-year-old airplane, its first flight was in July 2006. The runway has already been cleaned by the A380. Is there spray left for the reversers of the 747? Will it use them to begin with? In a few moments we'll know. Let's look and listen, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Have a look. Both of them using the reversers. And there was still an abundance of water on the runway. How sweet was that, ladies and gentlemen? Don't forget, if you have enjoyed this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, if you want to stay in front of upcoming live streams and other awesome content. Wow. Alvin also back in the chat. Hope you were in time to see these two behemoths land back to back, mate. That was spectacular. Werner, thank you so much for your super sticker. A thanks super sticker. Well, you're welcome, mate. Thank you for your donation and for your generosity. Happy to oblige. This was incredible, wasn't it? Now, as much as I would like to linger on these two airplanes rolling away, there's more coming. We have another Dreamliner arriving. Saudi Air Flight 215 arriving from Jeddah. 7879 Dreamliner. 5 hours and 49 minutes the flight time. The Hazar. Yar. Will it bring Jeddah Knights or Pirates? The airplane is 8 years old. And it doesn't seem to be equipped with a carrying cabin. What? Or is it? No, don't think it is. Absolutely wonderful. Retrolux over there, immediately preceded by the King. Birds in the background, flying around in awe. And rightly so. The Queen and King. What a beautiful pair that was. Alright, well, let's see. There is a 777-200 arrival from Guayaquil approaching the coastline. And you can still see that boop the snooty. So that was the third retro liveried airplane that we saw in today's stream. The others being retro Transavia and also retro Turkish, the A330. Quite a sight to behold. It does look now like, at least over here, the sun will have more opportunity to shine. At least here in this part of the sky, things are more open. Looking in the direction the wind is still coming from, it does look a bit more densely clouded, so to what extent it's going to be more sunny here in the upcoming hours, I don't know, but it was looking beautiful. Howdy Liwe, good to see you, mate. Hope you were in time to see the King and Queen land here back to back. That was spectacular. I'll make a separate video out of that one for sure later today. Second time we had a mother of all glide slope shots. Summertime is over. It means that the Emirates is arriving an hour earlier local time. Power hour of outbound traffic almost over. Means that in 10 minutes from now, Runway 27 is also going to open up for traffic arriving from the east. We were lucky that Saudia and that the A380 came to this runway, but in 10 minutes from now, everything wide-bodied arriving from the east will go to Runway 27, presumably. Center runway is closed for maintenance, yearly maintenance, just like how the Polderbaan was. Cathay 7478 freighter taxiing to 18 left now, where Sander is standing, pilot Sander, taking off in a couple of minutes. We'll have a look-see and see if we can catch a few glimpses of it, Sander. Thanks for the heads up, mate. Hopefully you'll be able to catch a few glimpses of the A380 and maybe the retro Cargolux as well. It'll probably be directed to the cargo ape. Well, could go either way. Might also be directed along Sander. Not sure. Keep your eyes out open for it. Now let's see. One more 747 is expected shortly. The other 747s that are still underway will arrive later in the afternoon. Atlas Air, arriving from Miami, is approaching the coastline. I'm also looking a bit to the left to see if maybe I can catch a glimpse of the 777 arriving from Guayaquil. Not yet the case. I do believe I see the A380 over there, and it looks like Retrolux is going to runway 24 along the center runway. Center runway is closed. Probably has to go around it via the southern threshold. The A380 almost home already. Its apron is not too far from where it is. Butsy asks how windy it is. You can see that in the meter, which is in the ticker, which is updated automatically. Last time I checked, it was around 13 knots, but the wind is blowing perpendicularly to the runway heading, and that is why the airplanes are crabbing so much. Let's have a look at the visualization of the meter, take you through it for those of you who are more visually inclined. You can also see the code of the meter in the ticker. scrolling past, constantly renewing whenever a new update is there. Twice an hour does it get renewed. It's this code that I am basically showing you here. It's a visualization. The wind is blowing almost at a direct perpendicular angle to the runway heading. It's a bit from the south, it's west-southwest. In other words, most of the wind is crosswind. Wind speed has increased to 14 knots, so that's almost 14 knots of crosswind, which is why those airplanes that you see are crabbing so much. Scattered clouds, we no longer have a ceiling. We did have a ceiling at around 3,500 feet earlier. Now 2 layers of clouds. Below the ceiling, good visibility. The air temperature, 12 degrees C. Yeah, so that, and the Atlas Air in white and yellow is approaching. It is expected around 102, in other words, in 10 minutes from now. Ah, Sander got the retro takeoff, nice. And the A350-1000 a couple of minutes ago. Awesome, mate, awesome. Yeah, I was thinking hard about coming over to where you are standing, Sander, but I was also seeing retro Cargolux coming, and I figured with the crosswind we would have crabby landings here at the Polderbaan. So I figured let's go to the Polderbaan today, maybe go over to where you are at tomorrow, depending on the wind and the weather in general. All right, 747 is lining up. Cathay Pacific Cargo lined up at 18 left. We still have some time before the 747 will be landing here, so let's have a look. Is it rolling already? In the meantime, we had either Fidel or Raoul Kestrel over here. I think I might actually be hearing the engines. Is the 747 rolling now? I think I see it. Yep, there it is. Cathay Pacific Cargo 7478. Where's it going? Paris? In the meantime, KLM Flight 1294 has landed here. That's a 737-800 arriving from Billund. Big open chunk of sky, and I can actually see 1, 2, 3 contrails. None of them seem to be coming my way, but they are visible. It's nice to see that above the clouds air traffic is still taking place. Looking up and above me right now, I'm also even able to see a departure from runway 24. Wish that we were able to do what I'm doing with this airplane when the A350 from Finnair passed by. It had Santa Claus on the back of it, and I really wish I could show you a bit better. All right, the number 2 on the left is KLM Flight 755. That's arriving from Guayaquil, and that is a port town in the country called Ecuador. Before it is Transavia Flight 5216 arriving from Catania. And over to the left, there should be a 747 on the downwind leg. I'm trying to see if I can spot it already. Think, even though on paper there's no longer a ceiling, it is still flying above it. 6,600 feet, so The 747 is still flying above the clouds, unfortunately. Not able to see it yet. We should be able to see it pretty soon, though. Good afternoon to Gigaboat and to all others who have joined. Welcome to the show, guys. If you joined us only just now, you may have missed 3 747s landing already. One of them immediately following the A380. It was back-to-back action here. I'll make a separate video out of these 2 consecutive landings. The mother of all glide slope shots. We had it before a couple of months ago, earlier in the year, and now another opportunity. We also saw the retro A330-200 from Turkish land here earlier in the show, and the retro Transavia as well. So 3 retros in one show, 4 queens, 1 A380. The 4th queen will land here in a matter of minutes. You can already see it on Flight Radar. It's northwest of Schiphol, still flying downwind, but should be coming here pretty soon. This is KLM flight 5216. Using the reversers actually. Goeiedag.
Nee, ik volg je altijd
Wat leuk.
op YouTube. En we waren hier in de buurt, dus ik zei, nou wil ik ook eens even kijken.
Dan wil je even kijken hoe het eruit
Joe
ziet.
Adams?
Nee,
Nee, wie is dat nou?
dat is iemand anders.
Oké. Ja, nee, wij wonen in Groningen, dus
Ja.
ik kijk vaak via YouTube
Ja.
even naar deze...
U haalt mij in de war met iemand die een iPhone gebruikt om te filmen en die geen Engels spreekt.
Ja, dat zou kunnen.
Ja,
Je staat hier iedere dag?
ik sta hier niet iedere dag.
Wel bijna iedere dag.
Wel een aantal keer per week. Klopt. Nee, dit is een triple.
Je had een oude 737, maar die komt nog zeker of niet?
Die komt zo meteen. Ja, die is aan het keren bij Bergen aan Zee. Zit een beetje in de buurt van Alkmaar nog. Dus die moet nog duurt nog even voordat hij hier komt.
Nee, leuk. Om
Ja.
Nou, succes.
Hey, dank u wel. Fijne dag nog. Alrighty. That was KLM flight 755 having arrived from Guayaquil, and the 747 is turning in. I'm not sure if we are able to see it already. This is one airplane preceding it. Pretty sure the 747 is still a bit too far away for us to see. Next up will be EastJet flight 23173 arriving from Glasgow. That's an Embraer, an Airbus A319. After that, we are going to see a KLM 737 arriving from Stavanger, flight 1176. We can already see, if you look on Flight Radar, that runway 27 has reopened. Runway 27 now arriving, accepting airplanes arriving from the east. Air Baltic, the first to arrive over there. Luckily for us, Atlas is arriving from the west and has been assigned to the right runway, namely the Polderbaan, where we are standing. And that's the Gazda using first exit. And that allows us to have a butt shot. Look at the behind, directly from behind. Not a Neo. No see-through engines this time. Third airplane on the glide slope is the 747, and I'm wondering, can we see it by now? I think we ought to be able to see it, and the answer is yes. There it is. Here we go. This is Atlas Air Flight 5219, arriving from Miami, Florida. Have a look at flight radar. It's not your standard Atlas Air livery. This is a former, was it DHL or Polar? I think Polar, right? They haven't gotten around to painting it in the normal Atlas livery. Not sure if they will ever do that. It's a bit like my home, where there's also stuff that still needs to be painted and I never come around to it. I'm sure you'll all recognize that. We have an airplane in the foreground. That's Transavia Flight 82, arriving from Palma de Mallorca. But as is the fate of airplanes preceding Quad Squad members, they don't get much love here on the channel unless they are wide-bodied themselves. So I'm going to let go of it. Focus on the 747. Looking around on flight radar, it doesn't look like there are any wide bodies in the immediate vicinity after this Atlas will have landed. So I am thinking about wrapping up after the 747 will have landed. I'll make a separate video out of the back-to-back landings of the 747 and the A380. You can expect that later in the day, in case you missed it. Atlas Air arriving from Miami, Florida, 7 hours and 58 minutes on the way. It's a 7478 freighter. Registration is November 853 Gin Tonic. The airplane is 12 years old. Its first flight was in November 2012. In the meantime, the Transavia preceding it has touched down here. You'll be able to hear that on the microphone, the ambient mic. The sun is still illuminating the runway, so I'm hoping that the 747 is also going to catch a few rays of sunshine in a few moments. Nice. One 747 has landed, another one is taking off. Taking off from runway 24. Waiting for it to become apparent, to become visible. Looking for a beautiful combo shot. The icing on the cake of today's stream. Or is it? Yes, there it is. Saudi Cargo taking off while Atlas Air has arrived. It seems like old times again with so many 747s. Also, a massive big thank you to Sardi for your generous super chat and your kind words. Love your work, boys. See ya next stream, mate. Hooroo! And also, Gilberto, thank you so much for your super chat as well. Received the tuna by Polder Fisherman. Very tasty, so highly recommended. I am going to wrap up now, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. I had a blast, and I hope you guys did too. If you did enjoy what you saw, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon if you want to stay informed of upcoming live streams, posts, polls and whatnot. If all is well and the weather will allow me to go out tomorrow morning, I will be out again for another stream tomorrow. Hope to see you then. If not, hopefully later in the weekend. Hopefully the weather will allow us to go out. I'm not too sure yet, but I am keeping my fingers crossed. Officer Rudolph has a weekend off, so it has to stay dry then on Saturday and Sunday, hasn't it? In the meantime, a massive big thank you for all the support, all the likes, all the super chats, super stickers, those who gifted memberships and those who became members themselves. Thank you also, moderators, once again for keeping the chat friendly and accessible. You guys are all what makes this channel so great. I hope to see you all in good health on the next one. For now, goodbye, take care, see you soon, and bye for now, my friends.